It's a pleasure to have you back on the
Thank
show.
you. It's wonderful to be black on the podcast.
Be black on the podcast. Hey,
Yeah.
man. What's it like to be first day black?
Mysterious a little bit.
If you were actually
Dangerous.
black, what would be
Ninja, stealth
mode?
Yeah.
If you were actually black, what would be like the first thing you do?
If I was probably the same shit. I don't know. Like,
You're not curious?
like what change? Like, I don't like.
You could try breakdancing in Walmart or something. Like, when you try to do something crazy like that?
That's a hard question to answer. I've never thought that thought before in my life. Because what changes? Do I have any advantages?
Dude.
I'd probably go for some chicks that are into black guys. I'd probably be I'd have to work to my strengths, I guess.
Go to your local doctor and be like, which one of your patients have jungle fever?
I'd go to my local doctor and be like, what happened? What happened? I swear I was white yesterday.
I'd be like, I'm sorry, you've been diagnosed with Jigacock.
I already have that.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a skit from the 80s on SNL where it's called White Like Me, and Eddie Murphy puts white like face paint on, and he just sees what society is like when it's white. And he goes into the store, and like somebody leaves the store, and he goes to buy a newspaper. He's like, "Hey man, there's nobody here. It's free. Just take it." And then there's another scene where he goes into a bank, and the black guy, the guy at the teller is like, the cashier is like a black dude, and he's like, Eddie Murphy, the white guy's like, "Hey, I'd like to take out a loan for like 50 grand." And the black guy's like doing normal bank stuff, like, "Hey, like I need like the SIN number, like what's your business plan and stuff." And then the manager of the bank comes into the black guy working at the cashier, like, "Hey, don't worry about it, I got this from here." He's like, "Sorry about that last guy, silly Negro. Here's all the money you want, 50 grand. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about paying us back." And Eddie Murphy's like, "Damn, this is pretty good. Like life is awesome." So they got to do that in reverse, where you put on blackface and then go down.
Historically, that doesn't work out for my kind very good.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't want to emulate recent political figures, I would say.
No,
fair. I didn't come here to do that. I came here to talk about something else.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, last episode we went all over the map about kind of who you are. And by the way, that's called The Vortex. You are one of my best episodes ever. It is unbelievable how well that podcast did. You are just a magnet, it seems, on the internet for entertainment.
It was a blast. I loved it. It was so much fun. I mean, I said some questionable things on there that might come back to haunt me, but
for posterity, it was just pure entertainment.
Yeah, whatever. Allegedly, all of that. Allegedly,
all of that.
Yeah.
And but we didn't really touch too much on like the things that I think you're really well known for, which is like the esoteric, science fiction, weapons, intelligence, all this stuff that maybe people are more familiar with you about.
Yeah, I have some niche interests, like where I get sucked down into rabbit holes.
Yeah.
And I just want to learn as much as I can about it, but I'm not an expert, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to figure out like the basics and the broad strokes of stuff. So I've got a presentation. I did some research.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, okay. And so I call this a faster rock. And it's basically humanity's, all of civilization, all of war, all of weapons. Mm-hmm. It's all been based around having a faster, better rock than the opponent.
Okay.
And I'm going to break it down for you. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so have you ever wondered why you don't walk on four legs?
I think it's because we evolved to be bipedal, right?
Well, yes, but why? Do you know why we would evolve? Like, what kind of advantage that would give us? Do you think about it?
Reaching things in trees, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
So climbing.
Yeah, it's not like a hard answer.
Okay.
So anthropologists have like various different theories, right?
Okay.
That's one of them is reaching for fruit.
Yeah,
right?
Reaching for fruit.
Another one is being able to like see over tall grass, or like if you look at like a bear, for example.
Yeah.
Bears can stand on their hind legs and they use that to survey their environment, right? They get a higher vantage point, right? Yeah. And then the third one is being able to carry objects, because it's a massive advantage, because you can bring food to people, or you can store food, right? Like a squirrel carries things in its mouth, right?
Right.
You carry babies and stuff like that, but there's another thing that comes with that as well. This is my theory. I have my own theory, right?
Can I guess before you?
Sure.
Throwing things?
Yes.
So if you're on four legs, you can't throw things.
If you can hold something,
right,
and you stand up and you see a fucking predator all of a sudden,
boom,
Monkeys already throw shit, like apes, like chimpanzees. They already
Right.
know how to throw.
Not accurately, but they have the ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, 6 million years ago, humans started walking on two legs. And this is probably around the time we started throwing rocks, throwing things, you know what I mean? There's no real way to prove that because they're just rocks, right? You
Right.
can't go back to the, and be like, oh,
this
was thrown 600 million years ago, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so we started 6 million years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a rock, right?
Yep.
Those guys have rocks, we have rocks. We want to kill each other. We got to figure out a way to have a faster, better rock than they do.
Oh,
right.
It's a good thesis.
Yes. So the next invention that makes a faster, better rock, what could you do to a rock to maybe maneuver it faster?
You could, aerodynamics, you could make it smoother, a different shape. You could
Easier to throw, maybe?
Easier to grip, easier to throw.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So 500,000 years ago, this is as far as we know with anthropology. Once again, things made of wood, things made of natural materials that disintegrate.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to find evidence of like when we have them. Like we find stuff in caves, but it could have been way before that because we just jumped from 6 million years to 500,000 years is when we have proof of the first spear.
And fire, right?
I don't know about fire. I was looking at rocks. Okay. Like that's mostly what I've done my research on. Fire is a tough one too, right? Because it's the same thing. Like, how do you prove that we had fire back then, right?
That's a good point.
Because the way we prove fire is with fire making tools, rocks and stuff. But like, there's lots of ways of making fire that don't involve rocks, right? Like rubbing sticks together and shit. But anyways, so 500,000 years ago, the spear is invented. And if you don't know what a spear is, like, we'll do a quick summary of this spear and like, kind of what this is. It's like, so a spear is a pole arm consisting of a shaft, usually of wood, with a pointed head, which is where your rock is.
Okay.
So when you have a spear, you can thrust it back and forth really quickly.
Right.
Your rock just got a lot faster. And it's a better rock because you still have your rock. After you throw it at somebody, you pull it back. So you've got a faster, better rock now, right? And spears are crazy. A spear is basically the most efficient large-scale group weapon in all of history up until the invention of gunpowder in like the of a firearm in like the 1600s, I believe. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Because it's extremely cheap, it's extremely effective, and in a group, like if you look at the Roman legionnaires and their phalanx, you stand shoulder to shoulder with 30 guys in a cube, and there's 5 guys layers behind you. It's just a giant pincushion.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
There's almost no way of like that's why the Romans were so powerful, because they just had these shield wall spiked man piles that you can't fucking penetrate, right?
Right.
So spears, like, kind of where we get into like now we're building technology. We want to make our rocks a little bit faster and better and stuff, right? Yep. So like, do you want to take a guess of what kind of comes after that?
After the spear?
Yes.
Slingshot?
Maybe not
slingshot. Sling, yeah.
Yes. Okay,
catapult, not a catapult, a sling, yeah.
Yes, like David and Goliath sling, where it's just a long piece of cord, and there's a rock in a pouch on it, and you whip it around your head in a circle, and whoosh. Yeah. I was actually playing with one of those the other day. I have one in my truck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're fun, man. You can whip like a half a baseball size rock like crazy fast.
Yeah.
And it's scary because I'm throwing these rocks and they're exploding when they hit other rocks.
Well, it's like explosive, probably going as fast as, maybe not a bullet, but like pretty quick, you know.
It was an extremely effective weapon again back in medieval ages, because anybody can make a sling out of rope, right?
Right.
And so you just get like all these. You get like 1,000 poor peasants that don't need any weapons, and all they do is lob rocks at you. So you're trying to stab guys,
right? And
the whole time there's like baseball-sized rocks just like falling on you from 100 yards away.
Yeah,
that's like medieval warfare and like primitive warfare.
Brutal, man.
Just brutal, but chaotic, and like just like, because you can't communicate, like you can't hear anything, right? You can only hear 50 feet around you. There's so much going on. There's people screaming. There's
question for you with the evolution of the rock, because you went from rock to spear to now sling.
So
at what point in this was there a rock turned into a knife? Because that seems like an efficient way, or like a sharp point tip, because the spear, that's like a knife, effectively a long knife.
Yes.
So
we're talking about rock as a metaphor.
as a metaphor.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
kind of and no, because there's a rock at the end of a spear. And once we get into this other stuff, you'll understand like these technologies that we're going to discuss are all made of elements that are ore out of the ground, right?
Right.
Like that's where iron ore comes from. It's rocks, right? And you refine it. So you make the rock better, you make it faster, kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, so did I answer your question? Sorry.
Yeah. The spear. Okay. It's all like it's a metaphor for like a weapon. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the next thing, have you ever heard of an atlatl?
An atlatl.
An atlatl.
What's that?
An atlatl is a spear thrower. It's very cool. I'm gonna try and
Isn't your arm a spear thrower?
It's an extension of your arm. It's like your elbow in your hand. It's like adding a second one of those to your arm. Whoa. It's very cool. I have a diagram here, so you can post this later on. Just post pictures. Okay. There's a description I found online that can kind of like if a person could visualize it. If you're just listening to this in the car, like if you lit some candles and you're in the bathtub and you're listening to the sultry sounds of Akeem talking about dangerous long shafts, spears. Okay,
it's dangerous in a good way.
So basically, what it is, it's two sticks. So you've got one is like a giant arrow. It's a spear, right? But it's got fletchings on the end, like the feathers, and then it's got a point at the pointy, the danger end, right? Now the back of the shaft of the arrow, quote, it's called a dart, is like a cup. It's like it's like an indent. So.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? Like kind of like a half circle in like a bowl. It's like a tiny little bowl, right?
And you put the stick in there.
Yeah,
the rock.
And so the second stick is a long stick with a spur on the end. So it kind of like a forked branch. Yeah. Like it would come back at like a 45-degree angle.
Okay.
So and that is rounded off, and that fits into the bowl in the back of the spear shaft.
Okay, perfect. So like it's grooved in there.
So here's a picture of kind of how it works. Like maybe you can try and describe that a little bit better.
Yeah, so it's almost like another forearm with a bowl at the end of it that has a long like javelin that sits inside of it.
Yes.
And then you're throwing it like a javelin with this extra arm.
Yes. And so when your wrist extends, now your wrist is 2 feet longer,
right?
And you're whipping this atlatl dart, which looked like an arrow, right?
Yeah.
And so it takes a spear and it makes it about 5 to 7 times as effective.
By effective, is that faster or more accurate?
Further, more power.
It feels like it's over-engineered.
It's not. It's just a stick. I actually built one of these when I was a kid. Yeah. I read about this in a book, and I took a dowel out of my shed at the lake. And I carved like a hole in it, and I just found a forked branch, and I just cut one of the forks off, so it was only about 2 inches or 1.5 inches long.
Yeah.
And it fit in. And the first time I tried it, I threw it so far that I fucking stabbed it through my Sea-Doo cover and into my fucking Sea-Doo seat. My dad hit me in front of all my extended family. He just smoked me, man, because I didn't know it would go that far, right?
Question for you about this technology, okay? So I see a guy, we just described what the mechanism is. What is the possibility that this was outside of Africa? Because when I see modern Africans today who are hunter-gatherers, they use a spear or like it looks like a javelin, they throw it. There's not this mechanism of this extra forearm attached to it. So
Australians, Aborigines still use this today to hunt.
So historically, where did this originate from?
It's been all over the world. Okay, this is such a simple mechanism. It's kind of like the bow and arrow has been figured out all over.
Right.
It's not like it was invented. It's such a straightforward kind of like logical way of discovering it.
Right.
So here the atlatls at least 17,000 years old.
At least 17,000 years old.
From the Upper Paleolithic humans of Europe.
Okay.
Humans of Europe. Yeah. Okay. And Australia. I know they use them in Australia as well. Yeah. So this is really cool because you're throwing a spear that's like 8 or 9 feet long, so you can kill huge game. There was actually a theory a long time ago, and I believe it's been disputed now. But the theory was that the mammoths actually died out because humans got so good at killing them because they could just fucking launch these spears from like fucking 100 yards away,
right,
and just fucking fill these mammoths full of holes, basically. Damn. And just follow them around and just eat mammoths and build houses out of mammoth bones and shit. Like,
yeah, I mean, we got really good at killing.
Yeah. Well, it has an immense amount of power, right? like they're a very, very interesting weapon. You don't hear them a lot. Like you don't see them in fantasy movies. You don't see them anywhere.
So for the people, I'm trying to imagine this at the base of the bow, where the end of the javelin is, there's like it looks like an arrow, like there's feathers. What is the purpose of the feathers even to this day with archery? Is that they have to keep it on a straight path?
Yes, it stabilizes. It stabilizes
in the
it.
flight.
And what it'll also do is it'll impart some spin, some rotation. Like I don't know if you're familiar with the rifling on a gun, or you know how you throw a football.
Yeah,
And you know how it spins and it wants to keep that
Right.
conservation of momentum.
Yeah.
So the fletchings do the same thing. So it helps it fly longer, straighter, so it's not wobbling through the air. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you were just to throw a stick, like you've probably thrown a stick as a kid, pretending it's a spear,
yeah.
it's all over the map, right?
My stick was a Harry Potter wizard wand, so I couldn't. I'm a good wizard.
Oh yeah.
I didn't want to lose my shit.
What's your Patronus?
My Patronus?
Yeah.
Wingardium Leviosa.
No, like what's the animal? You know? When you,
that I transform into an eagle for sure.
Oh, mine's a banana slug.
Oh
yeah.
You're.
Yeah.
What does that say?
Disappointing.
What is your Patronus say about you?
I don't do it anymore. It was after that
you
one
stopped
time.
banana slugging?
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to. I just don't fuck with Dementors any.
Yeah.
It's not my scene.
You're trying to.
I like goth chicks, but I don't want to deal with those guys.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Just trying to stay hard.
So, and I know the LL is kind of hard to understand. If you're listening to this podcast,
we'll put it in the show,
Google it. Once you see some pictures of it, you'll be like, oh, I get it. But it's really hard to describe what it is.
We'll put this all in the show notes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then after that, I think you know where we're probably going. We are going straight to the bow and arrow, right? So let's see, where's my bow and arrow facts?
So the bow and arrow, interesting. So
I might have deleted by accident, but it's okay. I know lots about bows and arrows.
Yeah, so bows and arrows.
50,000 years ago. That's the earliest bow and arrow we know about.
Compared to what this is, the rock you said is 6 million. And then up to 400,000 or 500,000 years ago was the javelin, the spear.
Yeah.
And then you said the Romans and the Greeks. So way before the Romans and the Greeks, it sounds like, when the bow and arrow was kind of
the bow. So the atlatl was 21,000 years ago. The spear was 500,000, and the bow and arrow predates the atlatl. It was, I think the oldest one they found is, they believe, 50,000 years.
So there must have been areas where people had the atlatl and some people had the arrow, and they were just getting massacred because the bow and arrow is way better.
No, sorry. Well, the reason that they're different in different areas is you can't just build a bow and arrow out of any kind of stick, out of any type of wood. You actually need specific type of wood.
What kind of wood?
Like if you were to like in Canada, we have English yew.
Okay.
And that's the same thing that they used to make English longbows out of. It's a very good bow wood because
expand and contract.
Well, because on a bow you have two forces. You have compression force on the inside of the bow, and then an elastic force on the outside of the bow, right?
Right.
And so most woods can either do one or the other. Yeah. And so maybe it's compressible, but then it cracks on the outside of the bow. You know, on the back of the bow they call it, right? So an English yew is actually like a magic bow wood because it has a heartwood in it. Right. Like, you know, when you crack open a log and sometimes the center of it is a different color. Yeah. So that's the heartwood, and the heartwood of an English yew is compressible. Right. And then the sapwood is elastic. So it makes a perfect, like, you just carve that stick and shave it down right, and it makes an incredibly efficient weapon.
Well, then one tree could give you hundreds of bows.
Maybe not hundreds.
Maybe 20.
But
30,
like a good bow. Well, and bow making's hard. I've done it, and so you have to find the perfect grain. It can't have any knots in it, right? Because you're putting a lot of stress on this bow, right? Like an English war bow had a draw weight of, like, back in the day, of up to like over 200 pounds.
Draw weights. That's the amount of force you can pull back on.
Yeah. So when you're pulling at your chin, right, that'd be the same thing as you putting your fist on the ground and lifting 200 pounds up.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they actually know what English, like when they dig up skeletons from the medieval era, they know right away if somebody was a bowman because their spines are curved from the muscles in their back.
Oh my god.
Yes. After Charlemagne, I believe it was, I could be wrong about this, but there was a mandatory law that the
King of France?
Charlemagne was the king of, or he basically conquered England. He brought all these like Norman tribes into one big country, right? Like he was the first like big dude, right? Yeah. But it was mandatory that every citizen needed, or every man needed to practice on Sunday all day with a bow, with an English longbow. Wow. Because then they could be called to war and just sling fucking like arrows at people and stuff. Sorry, is this on?
Yeah,
drop it.
Good.
And so they practice so much, and like you grow up shooting a bow that they're great at it, but they get muscle atrophy and it bends their spine, right? Because you only pull one way usually. You don't pull with the other side too.
They'd be really good at starting a lawnmower, eh? With
Oh
that.
fuck, dude.
They could rip that.
Dude, a snowmobile, get that guy like time traveling right here, just like, dude, hang on, I'm gonna spray some shit in the car, pull on this. He just ripped the fucking pull cord right out. Yeah.
Yeah, that action, eh?
Yeah, no, it was a huge part of their life because they had that tree, that specific tree that would make bows. It was like, this is a weapon we have to build, right?
In your research, is there any indication as to the utility of the bow? Was it more for hunting or for warfare?
Oh, both. Oh, it's always been both. It's always been both. The active killing has been a primal thing for us since before we had civilization. Like the bow and arrow predates civilization by like millennia.
We had weapons before we had societal structures.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and it kind of even there's theories about how it affected civilization. Because if you have a bow is truly effective in a group.
Right.
You could fire a shit ton of arrows at people, they just can't do anything because you have a faster, better rock than a spear, for example.
But
right?
it's less effective in close quarters, right? Because now you're doing this long wind up, and someone could just come and axe you, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Unless you're Legolas from Lord of the Rings, and you could just.
And then but
not everybody's like that.
Then you don't have to worry about it. But no, it's true. So we're getting through. So you're getting the idea of like there's different technologies, right? Different people around the world are figuring out, how do I make this rock travel faster? If I put it on a stick, it's better, right? Oh, now it's on a stick. Let's propel that stick. Maybe it's with a string, or maybe it's with an atlatl stick, right? And so we're getting faster and faster and faster. So think of it like a bow and arrow is probably at let's say 6,000 years ago. A bow and arrow is the fastest any human has made any object go, besides like dropping it off a cliff.
Right. 9.81.
You see where I'm getting at, right? Then medieval ages, you start getting things like trebuchets.
What's that?
A trebuchet is it's like a catapult, but it uses like a rope whip at the end of it, so that it uses centrifugal force to whip rocks and stuff, right? And I was trying to look that up, like how fast do things travel. I still think a bow and arrow is faster than that.
Totally.
You're just throwing a way bigger object, way further, so it has more. It has more kinetic energy, so it goes quite a long distance, right?
It'd be interesting to figure out how they figured out to do the bow and arrow, because that's not technologies are obvious to people once they're like existing. But like the idea of like, hey, let's cut some of this wood off a tree and like put like some string on it and pull back and see what happens, right? Like how they even arrived at
a lot of it, like I don't know if you ever seen Primitive Technology on YouTube?
Oh yeah, he makes ducks and stuff like that.
So a lot of it is kind of just you just start fucking around with, or you see one like you hang a fishing rod on a tree on a stick, right?
Discovered
and
by
then you're like,
accident.
I'm gonna like tie my line up on this end, and then you're like, oh, this is interesting. It makes like a ding 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 sound. Like human beings back then were the same as us. They just didn't have the same knowledge.
Right.
Like
tinkerers.
Human beings have been around for
Homo sapiens.
This changes a lot. Homo sapiens, yes.
500,000.
I think it's like 300 is the new number. 300,000 years ago. That's like they're the same as us. They have the same intellect and stuff, exactly. Right? But we have a lot of we have written language, and we can transfer knowledge through time using that, and so they were living in a lot smaller groups too, and just kind of like wandering around. And so technology often comes from, especially war technology, like what we're talking about, it often comes out of necessity. Yeah. So like desperation breeds innovation is kind of what I'm talking 100%. About, right? Like, oh shit, we need to figure out a way to get these people are going to kill us. Like we got to think of something, you know what I mean? Like that's, if you look at the atom bomb, that came from war.
Same idea.
Yeah, pretty much all of our major technology that we think of, Bluetooth and all that shit, that was all developed by DARPA.
Yeah.
It's all developed like, hey, this is a new thing. We found some sort of weird shit. Let's see what we can do with it, and maybe we can develop it into weapon systems, right?
Wow.
That's what it's always been.
Yeah.
That's how fucking we got out of the Bronze Age into the Iron Age. How do we make better fucking weapons, right? How do we make better armor?
Yeah, man. Eat and survive, right? The human desire to eat and not die is so strong now.
It's not even that. It's almost like greed. It's like conquering. It's
Right.
like humanities have a jealousy bred into their genetics, into their DNA of like, if somebody has something you don't, you want that thing.
Totally. Yeah.
Right? And it's bad. It's terrible. It's probably the worst part of our society, right?
Well, I
but
mean,
that's what leads us to being so technologically advanced.
well, to overlay an ethical an ethical interpretation onto it is an interesting thing to do, right? It could be bad, but it also could be like maybe part of our evolution.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, I want what that guy has because it's going to help my family, right? Like, if I don't do that, then I'm going to die, right? So it's like the poor kid in Jakarta who steals an apple from the market, right?
Okay, sorry, I didn't know about that kid. Tell me about him. Sorry, what happened to him?
His name is Mashmaritu.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Masperi too.
Yeah, he owns a shipping yard now in the port of Spain, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, this is a real story?
No, I'm making
Okay.
it.
You had me. I was like, oh shit, good for him, man. You know, I should steal some fucking apples, bro. Yeah.
Only if you need it, man.
No, yeah. Well, yeah. So I kind of lost the train of thought there. But
We're talking about spears, like the necessity behind this, necessity is the mother of invention, and these weapons were invented, like you said, to conquer, to eat, or to protect yourself.
yes, competition breeds adaptation, right? It breeds
yeah.
ingenuity, right? Like that kind of stuff. Even with sports, like look at NHL.
Totally.
Like remember when I started playing hockey, I had a wood stick, man. When's the last time you saw a fucking wood stick on the ice?
Like 1998.
I don't even think you could buy them. I didn't even have a curved blade on my stick.
They tell you to get the fuck off.
Any little advantage is just like it's good. You might as well use it, right? You got it.
Absolutely, man.
Okay, so let's get back to where we're at here. Okay,
Let's go.
So now we're kind of getting into the early 9th century China.
Fireworks,
Yes, we're in the gunpowder age, right?
gunpowder.
Yeah.
That's the first version of a gun.
So this is not the first version of a gun exactly, but we're getting into faster rocks because what they actually had was what they called fire arrows.
Whoa.
So what they would do is they would take a bow and arrow and they would put. So they didn't have very good saltpeter and they didn't have a very good mixture back then. So their gunpowder wasn't necessarily like explosive. It was more like incendiary. Like think of it more of like a sparkler is like thermite. You know what I mean? Like it's just stuff that you can shoot and it'll ignite things when it hits it, right?
Right.
Like kind of like you would use tar, like a fire arrow. That's what they were using it for, right?
Which is pretty barbaric, by the way. It's not enough to
it's kind of dangerous, right? Like
it's not enough to kill you with an arrow from a distance. We need to light you on
yeah,
fire.
we want to burn your house down first. Yeah, okay. So gunpowder is the first explosive to have been developed. It popularly listed as one of the 4 great inventions of China. It was invented during the late Tang Dynasty, 9th century, while the earliest recorded chemical formula for gunpowder dates to the Song Dynasty in the 11th century. So the early gunpowder formula contained too little saltpeter, about 50%, to be explosive. That's what I was kind of, but it was highly flammable.
Right.
And so they created the fire arrow, and then later on, what they were able to do is they would call them fire arrows, but really it was the first rocket. It was kind of like, like a bottle rocket. That's what it was.
What was the mechanism for it to go?
It was gunpowder. They had figured out that the saltpeter, like later on, a couple hundred years later, but they didn't understand of like it as an explosive. Like they first figured out it was like a propellant.
So this was probably the first time in history where the idea of explosion as a form of propulsion was like kind of like discovered.
Yes, yeah, basically like force pressure through a nozzle and it moves things.
Right.
Yes. And so what they acted like I said, they still called them fire arrows, but they just didn't shoot them out of a bow. So it was designed to shoot up, land somewhere, keep burning and burn your house down or whatever. Right. And so that's like, it's very interesting because this is the 9th century. This is rockets. This is when rockets, like we kind of skip to Europe, and Europe does some different shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because this isn't a cannon. This isn't a firearm yet. This is just a propellant, like a firework.
But just to kind of keep people on the correct timeline to summarize, we went from the bow and arrow, which was, you said, 50,000 years ago, to the
Roughly,
arm thing with the spear.
Yeah, 21,000.
21,000, and then we fast forward all the way to the 9th century.
Yes.
So in that like 10,000 years, there's effectively no innovation to speak
for
of.
Faster rocks.
For faster rocks,
there's not a lot because you have to have chemical science because before that, we're relying purely on basically kinetic muscle, like human muscle.
Right.
We did have things like trebuchets and stuff, right? But they were very expensive to make. Very like you could only so many use cases. They could only be used for. Actually, I think trebuchets were later than that. That's right. Yeah, they were. Yeah. So basically, it was just big groups of guys in fucking fields and shit.
What about animals? Were animals used to launch faster rocks ever? Like,
I don't see how that could possibly work.
like horses or something?
Like you like get a horse to kick a rock at your buddy or some shit. Like,
well, if it was to boot it back, I don't know. Who knows? But yeah.
I see what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Because that was the other one of the big technologies they had. Sorry, is this which mic is recording me? Oh, okay. Can I take this on? Or should I keep
Oh, that's
it?
for the video.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, you're all good.
Okay, so hang on. Let me get back to it. Okay, so
sorry. Back 9th century China, fireworks.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so now we're moving towards where do our first guns come from, like cannons and stuff. So gunpowder actually was once it was invented in China, it spread quite quickly throughout Asia and stuff like that.
Silk Road.
Yeah, but it wasn't until like roughly it got to Europe, and in the 1480s they started making they started making like what you would consider the first like gun.
Cannons?
Yeah.
First?
China did have some cannons around the same time, but just for the sake of trying to keep my brain in order, like we're going over to Europe right now.
Let's go to Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
People associate cannons more with Europe, anyways. I think.
Well, if you know your history, China's the gunpowder, like
For sure.
that's their thing.
But you think about knights and kingdoms and castles. You think cannons, right?
Totally. And the other thing too is I think Europe had better metallurgy and better composite materials. Okay. Because you have to have something that can hold the pressures of these cannons, right? So even if you have the idea of how to build it, like, and you're a mad scientist in like the Song Dynasty, if it costs a fucking million Chinese dollars to fucking make one of these things, it's like just a novelty, right? It's not an effective weapon, right?
Yeah, you'd rather make fried rice.
Yeah.
Or chow mein or something.
Yeah, sweet and sour pork probably is my guess. Yeah. So gun development design in Europe reached its classic form in the 1480s. Longer, lighter, more efficient, and more accurate compared to its predecessors only 3 decades prior. The design persisted, and cannons of the 1480s show little difference and surprisingly similarities with cannons 3 centuries later in the 1750s. So this is where we get like our cannons, right?
Right.
So
what's a cannon?
A cannon is basically a long tube, right? And it's got a big hole at one end and a bore, and you put a charge down it, and then a ball goes down, you pack it next to the charge, and then there's usually something like a fuse or some sort of ignition hole on the backside. Okay. And so once the fuse hits the powder charge, it creates a big pressure blast as the propellant is ignited, throwing the fucking cannonball
in the only direction it can go.
Yes. Yeah. And then around this time in the 1750s is when we get like our first like firearms. So like a single person is holding or moving something.
I thought it would have been further back than that. 1750s, eh?
Well, they had cannons, but like inventing the hand cannon, because the cannon's heavy, man.
Right.
They're making them out of like bronze and shit, you know?
The Bronze Age.
Yeah. So to hold those pressures, it takes a lot of weight. So even the first guns were called like an arquebus. Like you've heard of an arquebus, maybe like from movies and stuff. It comes from the German word Hakenbitch.
Hakenbitch.
Yeah. So although it's applied to many different like forms of firearms from the 15th to 17th century, basically what an arquebus was it was like a little cannon, like let's say like 3 or 4 times as big as a baseball bat. Like you couldn't hold it and fire it, but you could probably lug it around, and you would put it on the wall of like your embattlement, like your castle, and it had hooks on it, so that when it would blow up, you would hook it on a wall and it would shoot the cannon out. It wouldn't just blow back and kill you.
The recoil,
yeah, that's what made it. That's why it's like called an arquebus, right? They call them hook guns as well. And sorry, I was wrong. So they were doing this in the early 1400s.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
medieval warfare, right?
Yes, that would be medieval. Yeah. And that's when like they start like muskets and stuff. All those things start getting developed very quickly because right away it's like, okay, how can we make this better? How do we make it better? We make it smaller. We shoot smaller bullets, right? And then like, how can we ignite them and stuff easier? Because they didn't really have fuses. It was usually like a stick or something, and you would light it to the thing. You'd pour a little powder into like a hole at the base of the cannon and then light it with a fucking lit stick, you know what I mean? Just like
light it and be like, run,
like you're covered in smoke, you can't see anything, right? Okay, so
what happened to Henry? Oh, he blew his fucking leg off this morning for lighting a cannon. Anyways,
let's jump to the 1500s, right?
Yeah.
So now we have the musket. The musket, and this is kind of where we start getting into like things most people would know. Mm-hmm. Like, so the musket was able to penetrate all forms of armor available at the time. It was a fast enough rock that it could go through armor.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it made armor obsolete.
What's a musket?
A musket is like basically, so you know a rifle, right? It's a muzzle-loaded rifle. It's like a tiny, long cannon, right?
That's like it's like a miniature cannon.
It looks like a rifle, but it's loaded from the end that it shoots out of.
Right.
You load a charge in, and then you load a projectile, like usually a lead ball. Right. So the lead ball in this scenario is our faster rock. The lead is a rock, right?
Right.
Okay. So and that's
so there was no trigger though, right? Because the trigger would be the
the first ones, like I said, there would just be a little hole at the end, like the whole,
and you're just holding it.
Yeah, and it was just right.
So you're not actually pressing a button or holding it back the trigger.
Well, once we get to muskets, now we get to something called a matchlock or flintlock rifles.
Okay.
So that's what you're talking about, basically. So a matchlock rifle is like, you know how I was saying you take like a lit stick and light it to the gun?
Yep.
So a matchlock, it's not a match like you would think. It's actually a burning piece of rope. And it's on a lever, right? And so when you click the trigger, quote unquote, it's like a big lever. It brings the spring-loaded hammer that's holding this lit rope down onto that hole.
Right.
So it's just a little modification that makes it a little bit more reproducible, right? Now you have two weapons on the gun instead of one.
And although it's a faster rock, mechanically it sounds like a pain in the ass. Like if it was in warfare.
Totally. These guys are really good. Guys are maybe shooting 2 rounds a minute, and like this rope is going out, and it's not like they have big lighters either, right? So you're like, shit, my fucking lit. So now you've got to start a fire with flint and steel, get that thing lit, and then but the thing is that if you can shoot through armor, it doesn't matter because you're just killing guys.
Right.
So it's, even though it's got its downsides,
imagine
it's still more effective.
Imagine going to a battle where the other side has never seen this technology before, and they're used to like bow and arrows, spears, swords, and all of a sudden you start shooting them with guns.
Dude, it's like when I took you to Shambhala, you're like, I've never seen this technology before. Like the lights and the sound is like, okay, I didn't know this is a thing.
Except for instead of you going up to me and saying, "This is party," you'd be like, "This is the worst day of my life."
This is dying.
This is dying. We're fucked.
Well, you need to be like, these guys have magic, right?
Yeah. What are we doing? We have fucking swords? They're shooting shit at us.
Like, all I hear is a loud noise and then people die around. Like, I don't even know what's happening.
I'm too old for this shit, man. I can't do this anymore.
You're too old for this shit, but really, like, that you're probably 13 years old. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, sorry, I gotta take this off quick.
Yeah, no worries.
Heated here.
Yeah, no worries, man.
All this talk of war is good.
Yeah, it's like, oh, don't worry, we're gonna conquer this kingdom. You get to the edge of the riverbed on their moat and just start getting fucking just rinsed.
Well, you probably think it's dragons because it's like these guns produce so much smoke that you can't see anything.
That's probably where a lot of the mythology around like dragons and like mythological creatures go. Like the two people who survived the counter assault from the castle went back to the village and was like, "You guys, I have some shit to tell you." We were 50 feet away.
You are not gonna believe this.
Yeah, and they're gonna be like, "What? They fucking didn't even have to come close to you, and you guys were dropping like flies." Like,
well, I think I think it's because of dinosaur bones. Because I think they fucking find like T-Rex skulls and be like, "Oh, this is," because you can see what a lizard skull is, and then you find one that's 4 fucking.
What does that have to do with charging?
That's where dragons come from.
Oh, right. Cancer.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's I
The
think so.
mythology around dragons.
Well, it's weird
Yeah.
because there's dragon mythology all over the planet. Like
It's
flying
consistent
lizards.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Flying lizards.
Yeah, or it's lizard people, reptilians. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Mark Zuckerberg.
So let's learn some more facts here. Okay, so we've got so you understand. So a matchlock, a flintlock, it works very similar. Basically, it's a piece of rock called a flint.
Yeah.
And it strikes a carbon steel plate, which produces sparks, and those sparks go into the hole. It's kind of the same concept.
Right.
And this is stuff that your listeners would probably have to just look at a picture. You'll see what it is, right? We'll spend too much time trying to describe something that I don't know how to describe.
This is mostly in Europe?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. We're looking at Europe. At this time, China has cannons and stuff like that, but they're not utilizing like a mechanism to light it. They're usually hand lighting it, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but okay. So, but we're gonna jump forward a little bit to 1866.
1866.
Yes.
That's almost Alex Jones' time. 70,
Okay, so integrated cartridges.
Okay.
So an integrated cartridge is basically, instead of loading all of those things into the end of your cannon or your musket, right? You keep the powder and the projectile in a single cartridge, basically.
You're bundling it.
Yes. And originally they were wrapped in paper. And so what that allows you to do is to load it from the back, close some sort of hatchway or door, and then fire it. And so now you can fire much, much faster, right?
One of these.
So this is an integrated cartridge. This is what comes after this, right? Yeah.
With the concept.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the same idea.
The projectile and the
So you've got your propellant. The cartridge is actually the brass part, right?
Yeah.
And this is the bullet. That's the projectile. Inside of the brass is the propellant. Usually it's smokeless powder. Back in the day, it was gunpowder. That's why it's called gunpowder, right?
Yeah.
And so when this ignites, this casing expands to fill the barrel, and it creates an airtight seal, which then propels the bullet out the end of the barrel. And then this is discarded, right? So now, basically what an integrated cartridge does is it allows you to load the gun from the back. So you don't have to fucking load it from the front every time.
Yeah, because there was probably some accidents loading it from the front.
Dude, these guys were making these a garage that would be like an extremely advanced science workshop to the guys that were making these, like somebody's natural garage. Yeah, these guys are building it in like an outdoor shed, right, with hammers and shit.
And before this, was there training for these things, or were they just figuring it
out?
Oh
yes, they drilled they used volley fire, they call it, just like how they used to. That's how a bow and arrow works, like bow and arrow or slings or anything. You don't hunt these guys on battlefields. What you do is you have hundreds of these guys, and they just keep firing these arrows.
Right, wave after wave.
Just keep raining these things down on them. And so they once they created firearms, they used the same technology and the same techniques, even though it probably wasn't a very good idea. They actually use this in the American War of Independence. I don't know if you've ever seen those movies of the soldiers in red, and they all walk in a line and they all stand in a field and they all take turns killing each other, right?
Yeah,
that's called volley fire.
Right.
Yes, and that's just how they. It's a throwback to medieval times, right? When they would do that with arrows.
And that's less about faster rocks. That's more about army tactics and formations and strategy, right? Because right around that time was when Napoleon was like, we're not going to fight people head on.
Yes.
We're going to go around the back, or do little, we're going to pulse them from the side, or do a fast attack in the middle of the night. Fuck fighting these people straight up. That's stupid, right?
Well, yeah, and that was considered dishonorable back in the day. You're supposed to look your enemy in the eyes before you kill him and shit. And it's like, well, you know what? I'd probably rather be alive than do that. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. And we're into the technological advancements and stuff.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
so we got this bundled cartridge.
Yeah. And so from the
1866.
Yes, and then you get into the integrated cartridges, the big guys. This is a 50 BMG. This is cool that we have this. But artillery is the same thing. An artillery is basically like a rifle. The only difference is that the projectiles usually has some sort of explosive in it, right?
Right.
So another bigger, faster rock. So I want to get into the next one. We want to get into is rockets. So the first mathematical treatment of the dynamics of rocket propulsion is due to William Moore in 1813. This other guy in 1814, Congreve, he publishes a book in which he discussed the use of multiple rocket launching apparatus, which is like we still use those in war, right?
Oh wow.
Like imagine like a big frame with a bunch of rockets on it, and it's like, okay, light it and run, and it just.
Oh yeah, well it makes sense because you can just put a bed of the rocket fuel and then just put a bunch of them in like holsters.
Yeah,
and
then just let them launch, right? And it's the same thing like volley fire. Wherever they land, right? I mean, kind of thing.
Which is kind of risky because like
well,
the trajectory, right?
As long as you know, I want to kill everything in that direction, you're fine, right? But it's interesting how early this is, right? Because that was in 1814 he came up with it, right? And this guy in William. So in 1861, there's this guy named William Leitch, right? 1861. And he first proposed the concept of using rockets to enable human spaceflight in 1861.
Whoa.
Isn't that like these guys are forward-thinking guys?
Totally.
So people find this technology and immediately they start figuring out that this has a lot of potential
applications.
Yeah, maybe we don't have the material sciences to do this, but like one day we will, right?
And you know what's crazy? 1861. That's exactly almost 100 years to not when we went on the moon, but like when we left. The Russians launched somebody into space. I think it was 1959. 1959 or 1960.
Was that Sputnik or Grigorovich?
One of those guys in the early 60s, in the early late 50s. They didn't leave the stratosphere or like. Anyways, they went to space.
Yeah.
And that's 100 years after the guy predicted.
Yeah. It's cool, and it's imagine being 100 years ahead of your time, eh? Like, they ain't ready for this yet, you know?
No, I mean, yeah, that's wild.
Okay,
so Leonardo da Vinci was drawing up aircraft.
Yeah.
In the 1500s.
Yeah, he had like ideas about helicopters that were like, that's not bad, that's pretty close.
Pretty good.
Yeah, like it's pretty. He
was 500 years ahead of his time.
Well,
400.
Maybe he was 5,000 years behind his time. He could have been a time traveler. You know what I'm saying? Like
perhaps.
He got the higher being levels.
Leonardo da Vinci
found some interesting plants, ate them, and got to talk to the spirit gods.
Dude, he was just eating marinara sauce.
He was a brilliant genius.
Leonardo da Vinci, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this isn't necessarily fast rock, but we're in this like rockets, like we're talking about like weapons technology, right?
Right.
So I want to talk to you about this thing, and it's called the North American X-15.
Fastest vehicle ever.
This is the fastest manned aircraft that's ever been produced.
Mach 10, right?
So
Mach 10?
I believe it's Mach 4 or Mach 6.7.
Oh yeah, humans can't handle Mach 10. There's no way.
You can accelerate as fast as you want. The space shuttle goes more than Mach 10.
Right.
Yeah. It's all about G-forces, right? It's all about inertia. But okay, so the North American X-15 is a hypersonic rocket-powered aircraft, which was operated by the United States Air Force and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. That's NASA, or also not a straight
breakaway civilization.
Okay, as part of the X-plane series of experimental aircraft, the X-15 set speed and altitude records in the 1960s, crossing the edge of outer space and returning with valuable data used in aircraft and spacecraft design.
Neil Armstrong drove one of those things.
I believe, yes, yeah, that's correct.
He was testing out the.
Yeah, and so this is different. This isn't this is a rocket plane. So a lot of what we consider plane and aircraft are called like air breathers. So they use air as a fuel. And if you look up pictures of the X-15, like it
looks like a missile.
It's a missile with some little wings and a little guy on the tip of it, right? So this thing though, its highest speed was 4,520 miles per hour, or 7,274 kilometers an hour.
That's across
7,200 kilometers an hour at Mach 6.7.
What's the distance of Canada from like coast to coast? It's probably
Mikey. What's the distance of Canada coast to coast?
I bet you it's less than that.
One, it flies at 102,000 feet, so it's like 5,500 kilometers.
So you get across
divided by 7,200. Wait, 5,500 kilometers? Yeah. So it flies not even an hour. It's like 40 minutes.
Yeah, 40 minutes.
That's crazy.
Across Canada in 40 minutes. That's how fast this plane goes.
Yeah. Well, it's just a rocket. So they would fly this thing up on the bottom of a plane, so as high as they could get, and then launch it like a missile. It's just a guy in a missile.
Well, actually, this reminds me of I did a podcast called Suborbital Rocket Tourism, and it was about how the rocket industry could actually breed a new form of tourism where people go to space briefly and come back down.
Yes.
And it was because one of Elon's rockets, he would launch it in Cape Canaveral in Florida, and then it would land just outside of like a dinghy off the coast of Ireland, like 45 minutes later.
Yeah.
So it'd go like across the Atlantic Ocean, into space, land 45 minutes later, like pretty far away. So it's obviously, I think to achieve that distance, you have to go really high.
You go really high, and you also go against, or you use the rotation of the Earth, because the Earth's rotation is spinning. Mike, how fast does the Earth spin? I like having a fact guy. Eh?
Yeah, he's
That's
Jamie.
like,
yeah, he's 100. I think it's 115,000 kilometers an hour around the Earth.
115? No.
1,000 miles per hour, 1,600 per hour.
1,600 per hour.
Yeah, I was way off.
It's my factor of 10, yeah.
Yeah, times 100.
No, I think this thing's nuts, though, right?
Oh,
it's
so
just put a
super
guy in a
crazy.
missile, right? Okay, so do you know what this is? The SR-71
for
Blackbird.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
This is the fastest air-breathing aircraft.
So for people who are listening, if you ever seen the movie Top Gun Maverick, the very first scene when Tom Cruise is driving that plane and he gets Mach 10 in it, that's what this plane is.
Kind of.
It's a fictional plane.
That's
it's
the Black Ops one that they supposedly it's the big brother of this one.
Right.
This is back in the 70s. That's our 71.
That's the
This
70s?
is a real.
Wow.
I think they were developed in the 60s, 1964, 1966.
This is surveillance purely. Right?
Yes. So the whole idea of, why don't you give me some facts about this? You probably know.
It was
a bit about
it was so the smoothness of the plane. So this one looks like, it almost looks like a beetle, like with wings. It's very smooth and black,
Yeah.
and it was meant to be deterrence against radar. So it
The
could fly.
the X-Men had one of these.
Yeah. Professor Xavier, that was
Yeah.
his. If he had a booty call in Vegas, he could jump in one of these things and get, Anyways,
He could probably just do it with his mind.
so these planes they're long, smooth, very aerodynamic, and they're meant to be radar deflecting. So because they're very reflective, they bounce off radar.
This isn't stealth tech. They didn't need radar because this thing flew faster than any missile in existence. So its whole defense mechanism was purely based on utter speed. Nothing can catch it.
Well, can a missile? So it's faster than a missile.
It's faster than a missile. A missile will run out of fuel before it can catch up to it.
Whoa.
And it's flying at such high altitude too,
but it's also
right?
running. It's probably going to run out of fuel in like 2 hours, right? Like,
This thing?
Yeah.
No, dude.
If it's going at its fast, the top speed.
Well, these engines are really efficient because they're using like lighter air, and the air's thinner too, right? Like you're flying at such a high altitude. Like what does it say here? So it's flying at Mach 3 plus at 85,000 feet. So like you run out of air on Everest, which is only 29,000.
It's thin up there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Let's see. Does it say range on here?
Well, that's like the Concorde, right? Remember in the 90s,
Yeah.
the Concorde could go from New York to London in like 1 hour because it went to 80,000 feet.
Yeah.
So this is what did you say how high it was? Like 80, 90,000?
85,000. But I know that they burn most of their fuel getting up to that height, and then once they're up there, they're cruising, right? Because you're going so fast, and the engines are designed to be used at that level. That's when they're the most efficient, right? Because it has a 2-stage engine, which is what we're going to be getting into now. So this works on a turbo ramjet. So a turbo ramjet, basically, a turbojet at low speeds is a subsonic and transonic speeds. Hang on, what do we got here? Okay, so a ramjet engine, a type of air-breathing jet engine,
Right.
uses the forward motion of the vehicle to compress incoming air, which is then mixed with fuel and burned, generating thrust through the expansion of hot gases out of the nozzle. Right. So a ramjet engine slows incoming air to subsonic speed. So it slows it down and then it expands and then it combusts it and blows it out the back, right?
Yeah.
It's got no shock cone, but a scramjet doesn't slow the air down. It's the same kind of thing, specifically designed for high-speed flight, enabling vehicles to reach hypersonic speeds of Mach 5 or greater. Mach 5 or greater is like, how do I describe how fast that is? Like, if this thing flew above you, 1,000 feet above you, you wouldn't even see it. You would just hear a giant boom.
But you wouldn't hear it until it was
It'd be gone.
It'd be gone.
It'd be gone, yeah. Yeah, that happened to me one time when I was land surveying up north. I was land surveying just north of the Cold Lake Air Force like range,
Yeah.
and we're in the middle of nowhere, like absolutely, but we're wearing high vis vests and shit. So I think these fucking fighter pilots saw us because they're not allowed to do this. But all of a sudden, I just hear boom, and then I look up, and there's a second one, like a few hundred feet above us, just like F-16s, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like they're not supposed to do that, but they probably saw two random guys. They're like, "Let's go fucking spook the shit out of these guys."
Yeah.
Eh?
Meanwhile, you give it like all the deer in the area a heart attack.
Oh man, yeah. I'm never walking again. Yeah. Okay, so where are we at? Blah 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 blah. Okay, so
the 60s, 70s.
yeah,
80s.
so now we're into this thing. This is like kind of what I wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
So this is from Popular Mechanics. It's written really well, so I'm going to kind of read it verbatim. So this is something called the SLAM, the Supersonic Low Altitude Missile, which is basically like the worst idea anyone's ever had in all of fucking time. It's just awful. Okay. So for 7 years, the U.S. government pursued a top secret project to build the most lethal and irresponsible weapon in history. It had a deceptively mild sounding name, the Supersonic Low Altitude Missile, or SLAM. It was also nicknamed the Big Stick, which brings us back to our fast rock hypothesis, right? Okay. So had the United States actually built this thing, it would have created the world's first and possibly last nuclear-powered nuclear weapon. So it's a nuclear-powered nuclear weapon. It's accelerated by a nuclear reactor. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So dubbed the Big Stick, during a feasibility study, SLAM development was handed over to the aerospace giant Convair. SLAM was envisioned as an air-breathing, nuclear-powered cruise missile that would penetrate enemy airspace at low altitude,
Holy shit.
drop nuclear bombs on enemy targets, then make a suicidal plunge into a final target to contaminate the area with radioactivity. The Pentagon hoped to have the weapon ready by 1965. That's when they were developing it.
Who's they? Like the
Pentagon. The Pentagon.
And this is in the late 50s, late.
This is in the early 60s.
So JFK oversaw it,
Oh.
or Robert McNamara.
Yeah, if it was CIA, probably. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's one of those ideas that wasn't like totally built yet. They started thinking about it.
They're like, "Okay, just hear me out.
Let's do the math. Does it work? Like, what's the worst thing we can do to the Russians, right?"
Yeah.
Okay, so launched by a booster rocket during a crisis, SLAM's nuclear-powered ramjet engine would kick in once the missile reached sufficient speed. The missile could then cruise for days or weeks. SLAM would enter enemy airspace at an altitude of 1,000 feet, like very low, right? And at a Mach 3.5 speeds. Its unshielded nuclear reactor spewing radioactive contamination across its path. So basically, and this is the one they built in 1965, right? But I did some more research on this thing. So what this thing does is it's a nuclear powered like cruise missile, and
by nuclear powered, what do you mean?
So the engine doesn't use like a propellant like a fossil fuel. It uses the nuclear reactor to ignite air. The fuel is air, and that's all that we have in the sky on the planet, right? So the modern one. So Russia claims to have built one of these things. They say that they built one, and so the idea is this thing, you launch it, and it drops like fucking 20 warheads, thermonuclear warheads, on your enemy. But then it can fly for like months or years, the modern one. And it flies 1,000 feet above the ground at Mach 3.5. So what that shock wave is just destroying everything that it would vaporize you, that shock wave, because it's moving so fast. And on top of that, it's spewing radioactive material just like after a nuclear bomb. And it can fly for weeks. So this thing just flies a zigzag pattern across the continental United States and just renders it completely inhospitable to any life.
Its fuel is the air.
Yes.
So in theory, it could just be like an infinite machine. I don't know.
Pretty much.
Or like, wouldn't it run out of nuclear fuel?
Basically, it would like run like material science. Yeah, material sciences. Like the new ones could potentially fly for years, and they would be on an automated path.
Right.
So they'd be doing like weird maneuvers and stuff. And because they're flying so fast, nothing can catch up to them. So you can't shoot it down.
Yeah, because like a fission reactor can last for like 7 years.
Yes.
That's how long the uranium lasts.
Yeah, this article is talking about the one the United States built in 1965 because they made an engine for it, and they were like, well, we can't even test this engine because it just poisons everybody. It's gonna kill all of us if we start this engine up. But the new one that Russia claims to have built can just go and go and go and go.
But this was just theory, right? This was like a plan on
the United States one was, but they
didn't test it.
So Russia kind of what they did is they accidentally they said they think it's espionage. So we don't know for sure if this is true, but Russia quote unquote had a leak saying that they had one of these. But Russia does all sorts of fucking weird posturing like that. Yeah. So
well, actually, do you remember, not to go sidetrack, but with regards to the Manhattan Project, do you remember the movie? Did you see the movie Oppenheimer?
Yep.
So do you remember when he was talking to Einstein about like his math, and one of his scientists, Oppenheimer's scientist, was like, there's one scenario where this is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
He's like, it's where it would ignite the atmosphere and essentially just continue to blow itself up until the entire ozone layer of the Earth was like fucking fried.
Yeah.
And Einstein's like, what's the chance of it happening? He's like, 1%. And he's like, it's up to you, man, but I don't know. So it sounds like a similar kind of thing is going on.
Yeah, I mean, they hammed that up for the movie a little bit. Yeah. So that was one of the theories early on in the Manhattan Project, and they did the math, and they're like, no, it's not going to do that. It wouldn't work like that, right? But they did have, I think it was the Casa Bravo test, where they did the math wrong, and the nuclear bomb was like 10 times larger than it was supposed to be. And they accidentally irradiated a bunch of Japanese fishermen. This is on like the Bikini Atoll. This is where the term bikini came from, eh?
Wasn't it called the Tsar Bomba, where like the Russians tested that bomb north of Russia, and it was like a 50 megaton hydrogen bomb?
Largest
and
nuclear explosion of all time.
Yeah. And that one was like so big that like it fried, like they blew up an island effectively in the middle in the Arctic Ocean. And but I think they were like, it was getting so big in the 60s that they're like, I think they mutually agreed to like, maybe stop it. Maybe like, listen, the bombs are big enough now.
Well, it became impractical too, because you can't put a Tsar bomb on a fucking bomber. You know what I mean? You could build a nuke that big, but you can't launch it or anything. So they did DARPA did a study too. They did a bunch of like calculations or whatever, but they figured out it's actually more effective to have more smaller nuclear warheads than fewer bigger ones, because you can hit multiple targets. And then you have a higher chance of penetrating through like defenses, like missile defenses and shit like that. So
it's come full circle from the cannon.
Yeah.
Instead of one big cannon, let's have a bunch of muskets.
Yeah. Like a Minuteman missile is those are the missiles that come out of the big fucking like silos in the ground in the United States, right?
Yeah.
And so the way they work is it's like basically it's a space rocket. They launch this that's what a ballistic missile is that the rocket launches it, and then it releases I think it's 6 to 8 warheads. And then they just orbit. They're just traveling ballistically, just through momentum. And then they can maneuver like through air. They have like control surfaces on them. And so they just orbit around the planet. 20 minutes later, they just start falling on different cities.
I've heard that the way that the United States specifically has been able to design a system to counter this is they have a network of detection mechanisms and systems that would detect an incoming nuclear threat via, from space, like a satellite in the Earth coming down, and intercept it in the air, blow it up in space before it like actually hits the land. Like almost like, you ever heard of like the Jerusalem? They have the Iron Dome.
Yep.
Like it'd be like the Iron Dome version for nuclear warheads.
Yeah, kind of. But the problem with that is that you only have 6 minutes to react. And the way that your Iron Dome is actually nukes. They shoot nukes at nukes.
What?
Yeah, that's what they're trying to shoot them down with, is nukes. Because you have to understand, this warhead is not even the size of this island, and it's traveling through space. And there's 8 of them per Minuteman missile, and there's like hundreds of Minuteman or thousands of Minuteman missiles. Like the amount of nuclear warheads in the United States, Mikey, how many At the height of the Cold War, how many nuclear warheads did the United States have? It's insane. It's like fucking 10,000 nuclear warheads or something like that. Like, it's crazy. So to blow all those up, like, you can't. We don't really have surface-to-air missiles that can shoot into space.
During the height of the Cold War, the states had 31,000.
The states had 31,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Soviet Union had 47,000.
Soviets 47,000, man.
Yeah.
That's like,
well,
it's hard to
3,000 to 5,000 now. Like, it's come down 10.
Yeah.
3 to 5,000 now. It's almost impossible to defend against.
Yeah.
Because it's just you keep. It's also falling from space, so it's traveling at like fucking 4 kilometers a second, right? Like, it's so hard to hit.
Did you hear the story about the Russian in the submarine in the late 80s who essentially saved the world from World War III?
Yes. What's this guy's name?
He was in a sub and he got direct command orders from like what he thought was like the head of the Kremlin to like launch a nuke from the submarine that would go into the mainland of the United States, and it was up to him to press the button. He was told, like, do it, right? And for whatever reason, he just had the moral clarity or just like a gut instinct to say, no, this is not a good idea.
He thought it was a false alarm.
And then he
disobeyed orders.
And it turned out that the alarm or the order was placed with bad intel, or it was like it was a Korean flight that was going into Russian airspace.
I thought it was they saw like a weird sun anomaly off a cloud or something, and they thought it was a missile launch.
No, it was a Korean airliner that went from like South Korea, and they like the pilots were on autopilot and they were just partying and they went off course.
As one does as a Korean pilot. Yep.
Yeah,
that's what I'd be doing.
Too much kimchi the night before, right? And then they were just flying into Russian airspace, and next thing you know, it set off the radars. They thought they were getting attacked. So the Russian like Kremlin was like the head of the Russian military was like, you need to send a bomb. They thought they were going to get bombed, so they're going to counter mutually assured destruction, right?
Yeah.
So we got to send bombs to the United States. This guy got the order, and he's like, I can't do it. And because it was just an airline, it was just a commercial flight. It wasn't an actual like attack. You know, this guy single-handedly,
saved the world.
Saved all
of us.
Yeah, saved all of us.
All of humanity. We all die. We all die in
Instantly.
nuclear Armageddon. There's no one that survives.
Could you imagine that guy's stress level? He'd probably go home to his wife that night and be like, how's your wife?
He probably put her through the headboard, dude. He was probably like, I'm the fucking man. Like, what up? Everybody owes me shit, right? Yeah.
Totally, dude. Yeah. I mean, if I was the president of the United States, I'd be like, listen, I know that guy's a Russian, he's our enemy, but send him over here.
Yeah.
We'll get him. We'll
get him whatever he wants, man. Get him a lazy boy recliner. Get him some fucking foot rubs.
Yeah.
Who knows? Well, that's happened 3 times.
Really?
Yes. 3 times we have almost all been obliterated, and we didn't even know about it. It was all classified until recently, until Freedom of Information Acts. So there's this book. It's called Nuclear War. It's written by Annie Jacobson, and she does an amazing audiobook. And I've listened to it a couple times. And she's been on Rogan and stuff like that, right? So Annie Jacobson did a bunch of FOIA, Freedom of Information Acts. She got a bunch of these old DOD like old heads that are retired to talk to her about like the Cold War. And got some info that like no one had really heard before.
Really?
And so the book is about it's a minute by minute of what happens during nuclear war. At the beginning of the book, North Korea launches 1 nuclear missile towards the United States, and it triggers nuclear Armageddon. And basically, everybody in the northern hemisphere is dead within 59 minutes, or will die within a few months. Like, if you're not directly blown up, then and it's nuclear. It's like a nuclear ice age. So it becomes like 20 to 30 degrees Celsius colder,
nuclear winter,
all the time for 10 years. So everything dies. There's no food. There's like everything dies. Plants die. Fucking right. You've got radiation, you know what I mean? Like, there's just nothing you can do. Like, nuclear war is so fucked up when you learn about like what it is. It's like, if you fuck with me, I'll kill everybody. It's like getting in going to a house party, and then like somebody calls you a bitch and you like cut the gas line and like hold a big lighter up and you're like, fuck you, I'll do it. Like,
well, when you learn about magnetism and EMR waves, like radioactive waves are like the most penetrating of any kind of wave in the world, right? So like radioactivity, it'll go through your bones. It will go through pretty much anything except for lead, right? Like, or really thick elements like I don't
Like
know.
gamma rays.
Yeah, gamma rays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unless you're inside like the core of a mountain or like you're fucking in a lead bunker, like you're fucked
Well,
with radioactivity, right?
We have like neutrons. I think some sort of particles are like blasting through us at all times.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
They
Well,
go
I
right
mean-
through the fucking Earth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's because they just like they're on a very high wavelength or low wavelength, low or high. Anyways, it doesn't matter. EMR, gamma rays. That's what the real devastation of a nuclear warhead is. It's not the initial blast. It's the radioactivity and the gamma radiation that happens afterwards.
Yeah.
Because nothing can live in it, right? It fries everything.
Well, that and I'm not trying to debate that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But the other thing that it does, and that people normally don't think about, is it starts the whole world on fire. So
Yeah.
that's where nuclear winter comes from. Is every plant, every house, every oil refinery, every fucking. Think about how many trees there are in Canada. It's just one giant fucking
Biodome.
one giant wildfire.
Right.
And so it fills the sky with so much soot,
CO2
and that soot becomes radioactive, right? Because it's in the
falls
air.
back down.
Yeah, so that's what fallout is, but it also blocks out the sun for like a year.
Wow.
And so all of your air currents are all fucked up. All of your ocean currents change. All of your weather changes. Everything, because all of that is driven by solar radiation from the sun, right?
Would that be in the scenario with this lady in the book about like a complete payload launch? Like if like all of the nukes were deployed? I heard it was like, because I heard some guy say, I'm not sure if he's a nuclear physicist or whatever, but he was saying something about like, listen, if you launched every nuke on the planet, it still wouldn't destroy the Earth.
That's not true.
It's not true?
It wouldn't nuke the whole Earth, but it would disrupt the ecosystem and the bio systems of Earth so much that eventually everything's probably gonna die. Like they do say, like, oh, maybe like New Zealand will, like, there won't be any fallout there. Like parts of Africa might be okay. But the problem is that when you create a nuclear winter, like I'm saying, you change the Gulf Stream. Like you completely flip all of these systems of traveling air and traveling water. Like the west coast of Canada is warm compared to the east coast because we have a giant fucking current of fucking warm ocean water that's pumping up to us throughout the Pacific Rim, right?
Yeah, Chinooks.
Exactly. And so when you fuck up all that, and all of that, all the plants and animals and food rely on those systems, right? And so if you completely change the weather patterns of an area, the things just can't survive.
And even fish too. In the
Exactly.
oceans. Yeah, like
right?
They'd be fucked.
Well, they don't know. Think about how many things migrate and like stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, New Zealand people might be like not fucking irradiated, but it's not like they're gonna be like eating food or like how many people do you know that can like acquire food without purchasing it with money? Like no, so your whole banking system's gone, your internet's gone. Like nobody can survive without a cell phone except for like maybe me and like some fucking weirdos that I hang out with like today, right?
And boomers.
Yeah, and boomers. Yeah, they're gonna be fine. Those guys, they don't have any problems getting what they need, right?
Oh yeah, buddy. Yeah, so it's okay. We've gone from a rock, throwing the rock, to mutually assured destruction.
Well, guess what's in a nuke? What do you think it is? Uranium. You can go and pull a fucking uranium rock out of the ground in our fucking country, man. It's just a better rock, better rock, not just faster rock.
It's just exactly. Lots of it in northern Saskatchewan, right?
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's like how can I reach further? And have a more dangerous rock? That's like the whole fucking idea of war, right?
Yeah.
But that's like part of stuff because there are a lot of other aspects of war that like we could do tons of episodes about this shit, like psychological warfare or bio warfare, like biological warfare. Did you ever hear about when they used to I forget what the disease was. I think it was like leprosy. But they used to take like leprosy corpses and put them in fucking trebuchets and launch them over castle walls. And then just be like, fuck it, let's just they're fucked. All we got to do is wait for them all to their arms to fall off and then walk in there.
Send disease over. Well, that's kind of like the history of
smallpox blankets.
Well, I mean, that kind of like overlays into like people having an aversion to immigration, for example. Because like if you look at the Aztecs when conquistadors came over,
Oh yeah.
like they brought over European diseases
Yep.
and wiped out the entire like population of like this like little tribe in the Amazon rainforest that was like, okay, like they might have had silver and fucking cool things to trade with, but we don't have an immune
Those
system
diseases spread faster than the people themselves.
Yeah.
So like uncontacted tribes and stuff nowadays, like they're all protected because it's like they're just gonna die if we go try.
They get wiped out.
Yeah, they don't have the same fucking.
They're probably healthier than us though.
Dude, have you ever seen like the videos of the in the 70s when they're contacting uncontacted tribes when they're still doing it? No, what their teeth look like?
No.
They have perfect teeth.
Interesting.
They're pearly white, just like absolutely good because they don't eat any fucking refined sugar or anything, right? And you know what's interesting about that too is they use their teeth as tools a lot of the time. Yeah, because they use them as like their pliers, right? That's their pliers.
I've heard that in the 20th century there was a huge trend of people getting really crooked teeth, and people's
British people.
Not just British people. Yeah, for sure. They've always been fucked in the mouth, right?
Okay. Wait. So in the second, sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. In the 1970s, there's a trend of like, so people are making their teeth more crooked.
No, it's because our diet changed. We used to eat a lot more meat, and the meat meant we had to have really rugged, strong teeth because we're tearing. Like we were always carnivorous throughout our history as Homo sapiens.
Mm-hmm. Well, omnivorous. We'll eat anything.
Sure, we'll eat whatever. We're fucking animals, right?
Yeah.
But the second that we had this like agricultural system producing like manufactured foods and shit like that, we needed our jaws and our strong teeth and sharp teeth less and less.
Yeah.
So the teeth kind of got crowded as an evolutionary adaptation to this.
Really?
And overcrowded the mouth, which led to more braces being needed, crowded teeth, British teeth, right?
Yeah.
And then,
and then you get fucked in the mouth. Yeah.
Exactly, fucked in the mouth. But like...
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like, I mean, even these small changes, like with regards to like anthropology and how it affects our bodies and what our bodies are responding to. Like I was talking to Mike and Cody about this the other day, but even iPhones, they're going to change the anatomy of our hands, I bet you, in about 100 years. And also,
totally,
our the class of people in the world, which is like the majority of folks who like sit at a desk all day.
Yeah,
our backs are going to start.
Oh, everybody's fucked, right?
We're going to start turning into blobs, and then we're going to have Uber Eats come and like feed us,
like Wall-E, the movie.
And we're like, oh, your bum is white. Your bum hole is nice and clean. You can go on to your next task.
Dude, hey, listen. No pun intended, don't shit on things that clean your butthole. Have you ever used a bidet?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually,
I've been looking for a bidet. Like, I'm on the bidet prowl.
Go to a Japanese restaurant in Edmonton. They have Japanese
Do they talk to you and they warm up the seat and everything?
There's bird sounds, and then they spit. There's a Japanese guy at the bottom of the toilet that spits warm water in your butthole.
Oh, what's his name?
And he said, "Oh, nice and clean." Oh, you had a good meal.
Dude, finish.
No more soccer push for you.
You are colino with the boy.
Too much wasabi on your crab dinner last night. But when I was in Japan, dude,
that's not race? Is that racism?
Oh, I can't tell. Don't worry about it, dude.
I can't tell.
We're past that.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Every Japanese guy I know would laugh at that.
Yeah, and if they don't, okay, well, that's it's not my fault that it can't laugh.
Any Japanese guy.
Well, Kelvin Lamb, right?
Oh yeah, remember when he punched that chick in the face?
I remember him wearing Croc shoes.
Didn't some girl hit Brennan and like Calvin like haymaker or something?
Yeah, Calvin was fucking up.
We can't talk shit about like personal people.
What? It's not shit. It's just
what if
stories.
He listens to the podcast?
Well, I'd be like, whoa, this guy was like keeping his pimp hand.
Give him a medal. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy. We should learn from him.
Yeah.
It's like, don't you ever disrespect me.
Nobody says that to my friend Brennan. Yeah.
How dare you? But yeah. Anyways,
where were we? I wanted to say something about teeth or something.
No, we were talking about the evolution. Like we were talking about rocks. evolution of weapons, and then I talked about
Yeah,
the
so
phone, how the phone-
biowarfare.
biowarfare, and then
And-
how the phone is changing
well,
our anthropology
yes.
and backs and computers. And
Yeah, like, well, things are changing so quickly that we can't adapt as human beings. Like, we've got all this mental illness, and it's all from social media and shit, right?
Totally.
And like if you think about back in the day, like our generation, when we were kids, most of us had like a computer in our house, right?
Yeah.
But like our parents' generation, they just walked around not knowing shit. That, you know what I mean? Like they'd just be
Yeah.
like, I wonder how fast the Earth turns. They'd be like, huh. Well, I guess I'll never figure that out. You know, like unless we drive to the library. And
That's a good point. We
you know
never
what-
had so much information
yes.
accessible to us.
So,
yeah.
but like, imagine being addicted to like knowing the answers to things and like figuring things out. It's an advantage, but it's a hindrance because it allows you to learn so much. Like I know a lot about a lot of fucking like a little about a lot. You know what I mean? Like, and I love the YouTube videos that give me like some information and stuff like that. But it also takes away your ability to like figure shit out on your own.
Yeah.
You like look at mechanics and stuff, right? Like you can Google a video of how to do it, but back in the day, you had to like sit and think and be like, how does this work, and puzzle it out, and you understand. You're getting a more fundamental idea of what you're doing.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, you're in it. Yeah, like your brain's in it. But sitting and thinking, are you on crack? We don't sit and think anymore. People can't sit in a room for 20 minutes by themselves. You know, like without technology.
I'm like that. You know, I've got diagnosed with ADD, and like some people don't believe in that. That's fine and shit. But like,
it's probably just an ability to pay attention to something for a while.
The way I describe it is, if I'm not into something, it's the most boring fucking like tedious shit ever. Like I hate like whatever it is if I don't want to learn it. If I'm forced to learn something, like say I'm doing like a fucking module for work, like I have to do confined space or something. You know?
Yeah.
But if I'm interested in something, I'm fucking insanely interested.
Totally.
Like, you know what I just got into recently? I think I told you this. I got into lock picking.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No.
Dude, I used to watch this YouTube video, this guy called the Lockpicking Lawyer, and it's just good YouTube. It's like very informative, it's very well produced, he's very interesting, he's like just the right amount of humor.
Yeah.
I watched him for years, and then finally I was like, what does fucking lockpicking tools cost? And I bought this like thing off of him for like $90, and it'll unlock anything. The first day I bought it, dude, I unlocked fucking I picked 6 different locks in my house and my front door.
Sounds like bank robber starter.
Dude, yeah, like totally. like it's incredible. Like you can buy something and it's the size of I can fucking show it to you right here.
Yeah.
This is all my locks. So I'm obsessed with it now. I'm like collecting locks like a rat, right? Like this raccoon.
Hey, no rats in.
So no rats in Alberta. So I bought this thing.
Whoa.
And so it's got all these different tools on it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them, like some of them are just like, you just stick this into one of these locks. This is a lock. It takes a key, right?
Yeah.
You just stick it in there. It just opens it.
And is that the key for obviously?
No, it's just a tool.
What the?
Yeah, I have another lock. Like
this whole company's compromised then.
Well, yeah, and
Master
like
lock?
so this is a bobby pin that I just bent. I was
Looks
like trying to make it harder.
It looks like an abortion stick.
I made a handle for it out of a pen, right?
Right.
So like I made this for nothing. This is garbage around my house. But when it was just a bobby pin, I picked a fucking padlock 2 days after I fucking started trying.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard of, okay, so this might be stupid lockpicking thought thing, but like, you know, with the combination locks, I've heard that all you have to do is put your ear up to it. And as it's moving around very slowly, you just wait for little nudges with like, you hear the nudges, and then that's when you go in the other direction.
So what I do for those is I'll pull on the lock, and then you spin one dial at a time, and one will be stuck, right? Like one won't want to turn. So then you turn it, and it'll kind of click a little bit, and now that one will be loose, and then there'll be another one that's binding. That's because I used to forget my bike lock combo all the time, and I would just do that to figure it out. But like this is a tool for one of those locks where it just does it for you. Like this, like each one of these can be used on like a different type of lock, right? So when you buy one of these, this thing, it's just a shim you put in, and it just goes around the shaft, and you just feel where the click is.
Right.
And like I'm not an expert at it, but the guy like in the video, like people send him locks, and he'll open any lock within like 10
Wow.
seconds. But he's obsessed with it, right? Like,
but this is an example of your curiosity. When you find something,
I'm hyper interested. I probably and like I say 2 days, like in the first 2 days, I probably spent 9 hours picking locks.
Wow.
Yeah. And so like I pick my gun lock, and then you find a lock that you can't really pick, and then it takes longer, and you get it.
And that's the one you can pick.
I picked this like 4 times, but it's hard, and this one I can't figure out at all. But it's a weird kind of lock too, so
Right.
it's puzzles, right? I'm trying to. That's how my brain works. Like I like mysteries. I like trying to solve things, right?
Yeah. No, that's fascinating, man. The lock picking thing is interesting. In those big bank heist movies, they always like have a guy who's like a code breaker.
Yeah.
And he'll like a lot of times the lock picking with those things is like a computer program. So like they'll it's almost like hacking a network, and then the lock unlocks because it's all like programmed. And it's the same thing with cars now. Like it used to be a lot more manual and analog, and now it's just like a mechanical just plug in a cord to your mainframe and then do a system a system diagnosis and then find the issue. Like, okay, there's that. Like mechanic school is probably just reading computer now.
A lot of it, probably.
Like,
I mean, you got to know both, I would assume. You heard about those people that were copying people's fobs, and stealing their cars?
What?
So these guys, like most people leave their car keys by their front door, right?
Yeah.
So these guys have a device. They walk up to your front door, and they send a signal to your fob, and then your fob transmit the signal to this machine, gives them the code, and then they immediately unlock your car with the copier and drive your car away. I think this was I think it was in Toronto or Vancouver. Do you remember?
Wow.
So it was in Toronto, and then people were like, "Oh, they're stealing all our cars," and the cops were like, "Yeah, so we recommend that you lock your door or they what." Leave your key. Yeah, or I think they were like breaking in the house or something. Yeah, there's like I recommend you leave your door open so that they can just get your keys and not come in. It's like, what the fuck am I paying? Why do I pay taxes?
Exactly.
Like you're taking away my guns and I can't and you're telling me to let criminals in my fucking house. Like, get fucking lost, dude. Like, now I need a faster rock. You know what I mean? Like, where's my fucking bore spear?
You almost got to hand it to criminals though. They seem to be the people who are thinking of faster rocks. Like they're the most innovative people in society.
Yeah,
criminals are.
They are. They're
like the hackers, the people
smarter. Like guys who steal crypto. Like
totally smart.
Dude, there's this 15-year-old kid who was just hacking people's crypto Bitcoin accounts, and he stole fucking $10 million from this guy. And he's just to see if he could do it, and he was like,
wow.
But he just got caught immediately, went to prison for 10 years.
The government should hire people like that. Oh wow, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, he just wanted to see if he could get in, and then he happened to get into somebody's.
If he's 15, they wouldn't give him 20. That he's a juvenile. They wouldn't give him that much time.
I think he didn't. There's a good podcast called Darknet Diaries about
Love that show. Yeah.
Because do you remember? I think he got caught when he was an adult, maybe, or something like.
I heard a scam of people in Europe or whatever those gypsy countries where they go put like a pin pad in their pocket and they walk next to you.
Sorry, can we start that over, please? I missed the first part. Can you tell me what that was?
Oh, just gypsy countries, right? Where people are going
Egyptians. Gotcha.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you mean, yeah.
The Canada passport's not allowed there anyway, so I'm never going to probably see the
Okay, so they have a pin pad? What's a pin pad?
They'll have like this thing where it's like, like those at the store, you go buy your croissant and they tap your card.
Yeah.
So they'll get like a mini version of that. It looks like a square.
Yeah.
They'll pre-program it to say like, okay, the charge is going to be $85. They'll put it in your pocket. And then they'll like go up against your ass where their pocket is.
Yeah.
And your debit card is in your wallet. Some people have those cards where the wallets where it's like the card's not on the inside, it's on the outside.
Yeah.
So they'll just walk around a mall where there's like a variety of people with different kind of wallets, and they'll just charge $85 on the pin, put it in their pocket, walk up next to people, and it will just like the transaction will happen without you knowing. Because it's like it's the tapless.
Well, I know a guy who does he does tens of thousands of dollars in credit card fraud a month.
Wow.
And so I don't have tap on any of my cards because what he said is what they have a device and they'll put it in like a satchel. They'll rub up that and they'll get it close to you and it'll read your tap data and copy it, and now it has your credit card info.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. That's big business, man.
big time.
Do you want to know how it works? Because it's kind of
Yeah.
it's really interesting because a lot of these guys don't think they're doing anything wrong. Because what happens is people will their credit card information. What are you looking at?
Timber.
I thought you were looking at Duck's butthole.
Yeah.
But okay, so you're let's say you for example, right? Your credit card is compromised, but you don't know it yet. So somebody has your credit card info and your login info. They can pretend to be you. They have everything they need to pretend to be you online, right? And so they'll collect all that data and they'll do that for like 100 people, and then they'll sell that big lump thing of data to somebody for a few $1,000s.
Whoa.
And then that guy, he will use those credit cards to buy things. And generally what they do is they do it under $500, or I think it's under $1,000. Whatever the credit card company limit is, like under $500, the credit card company will just reimburse you, and they won't investigate it. And they won't report it to the police either.
Yeah.
So what these guys say is they're like, I'm not stealing from a person. I'm inconveniencing them because I'm compromising their credit card. Now they have to get a new credit card number, but I'm stealing from the fucking Visa company.
Right. Big company.
Yeah. And they do things like they'll like I gotta be careful. So what was offered to me was like somebody would be like do you want $500 worth of groceries?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll buy your groceries for you. You give me $250, and I'll buy you $500.
Oh, one of those things.
Yeah, and you just go pick it up. I'll pay for it online.
So it's almost like you're providing me a service.
Yeah.
It's
well,
like,
I kind of flip flop on this morally and ethically, right? Because yeah, you're fucking over the credit card company, right? And the credit card number's already stolen. So instead of somebody like fucking maxing it out to $25,000, then there's a fucking a big fucking investigation. They have to like, you're screwed. Like this person's account is frozen. Like that's a shitty thing to do to an individual, right?
Totally.
But if $500, it's like, hey, did you buy? And this actually happened to me. Is I got a notification that my credit card was used to buy $500 worth of stuff in Canada's Wonderland in fucking out on the East Coast. And they were like, "Is this you?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Hey, you're compromised. We're gonna have to send you. We're freezing your credit card, and we're not gonna make you pay for any of that. But we're gonna send you a new credit card number." Yeah, so like, and I got to see what was bought, and like somebody took some kid had a fucking good day that day because it was like we're going to the amusement park, we're going to Toys R Us, right? But it's all purchased like with my credit card.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they had to have my credit card number, my first and last name, probably one of my security code questions, to do that.
Yeah.
And my address, and my what is it? CVS number, CVV number.
It's probably good to go through life assuming people just can compromise you.
Dude, if you ever make a bunch of money, the best thing you can do is open a fresh fucking bank account and move everything over there. Right off the bat. Because what these guys do is they have a computer program, and it'll sit on your credit card. They'll steal your info, but they won't compromise it. So you're still using your credit card or your bank account, right? And then they'll wait, and they have a computer program that says this person's bank account just got to $20,000. And it'll send that guy an alert, and he'll go yoink, and he'll take it. Boom.
Wow.
So they just sit and you be patient, right? And if you think about it, it's $20,000 in a day, and you can buy 100 of these credit cards for $2,000 on the fucking dark web.
Jeez.
Like there's tons of money in it, right?
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of
and it's not even like the cops don't investigate it because it happens so much, and it's $500 here, like.
And they're not sophisticated.
Cops don't give a fuck about that.
They would have to
anything that's not a rich person.
Well, exactly. Yeah, they would have to hire the criminals that they arrest to do the counterintelligence on the fraud. The thing this reminds me of is number one, the scam calls and the scam text has been on the rise lately. Yeah. And then the second thing it reminds me of is this YouTube channel called Scammer Revolts. he effectively he poses as a dumb old woman from North
Oh, yeah.
Dakota, and he'll be
I've
like,
seen a couple of these guys. Yeah,
they're awesome.
he's so funny.
So like, oh yeah, I'm looking to open up another. Can I get an Amazon gift card?
Man, this is the IRS. I need you to pay me $2,000 in iTunes gift cards, or else we're gonna freeze your account.
No, please don't. And then he's like, and it's somebody from Bangladesh or India, right? So this guy, he's so used to dealing with these scammers that he's like learned a little bit about their culture and stuff. And he'll be like, he'll like let them get remote access, and then he's actually like backdooring them and going into their systems and deleting all their information, putting a sys key on the
finding
computer,
their name, yeah.
Like, oh,
the keylogger and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And then once they're compromised, he gives up the act, and he's like, actually, this is Brian, you're fucked. He's like, I have your computer information. If you want to ever get it again,
Abdullah Jamalova.
And he's like,
I know your address.
And, they still try to keep the scam up there, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, what do you mean? This is like legitimate IT support. He's like, don't fucking play like it's over. He's like, listen, don't. Like, if you want me to delete your shit, I can. And it's so funny because he learns the Indian language. He's like, he starts calling them like Ben Chode and shit, which is like an Indian like goat sister fucker or something like that. It's super offensive.
Wait,
right?
a goat? You fuck a goat like a goat's sister? Like another goat? Like you're trying to get back at that goat?
I think a Ben Chode is like your sister is a goat and I fuck her or something like that.
It seems like it's not something I would brag about.
Anyways, they call him a Ben Chode or Teriyaki Chud.
Okay.
And these guys get triggered, right? They're like,
Chode is a Gujarati and Hindi word for sister fucker.
Sister
fucker.
Yeah,
okay.
Because if you're a goat fucker, I mean, you don't want to. You don't want to tell people you do that.
Yeah, just keep that on the low.
Yeah,
keep it on the DL.
It's like a special occasion type.
Yeah, you tell your bro
Christmas, Thanksgiving, just like a couple times a year.
You're in the sauna with your bro, and you're like, man, I'm the only person I'm going to tell this to, but there's every other Sunday I'll go.
How do you feel about ungulates?
They squirm a bit, but then one of them likes.
Oh God, there's got to be like 100 different things we can talk about. Like, is there something different?
But
Big animals. I don't think they're squirming.
Hey, do you know, Akeem, do you know why you're not supposed to fuck animals? Yeah, I mean,
beyond. Never been asked that
because
before.
it's mean.
Well, the church told me not.
The church. Oh yeah, we can get into the church. Fuck.
Well, the church isn't compromised. It's the only institution.
They're the compromisee. They're the ones in it.
Well,
the Vatican, the fucking Scientology.
What do you think is in the library of the Vatican? Because they have a library down there, right? It's super top secret.
Well, I mean, obviously there's a lot of shit. I think that I think the Library of the Vatican is less about hidden knowledge and more about valuable shit. Like they want power and wealth. Like I bet you there's a lot of like Leonardo da Vinci texts.
Yeah.
I bet you the Vatican has a lot of stolen artwork, like famous stolen artwork. Like they're probably the ones buying it, right? And then because it's easy to justify shit like that if you're like, oh, we're going to protect it, right? But hiding it from the world isn't protecting it. It's culture. It should be shared, right? Like we should be celebrating that kind of shit.
In a museum somewhere. What do you think really happened during World War II?
You might as well just be like, what do you think? What do you think? Like, what do you think about what do I really think about what happened in World War II?
Do you think it's the mainstream like history? Okay, like history's written by the women, right?
You want to fucking know?
Yeah.
You want me to go? Okay, this is what fucking happened. Okay, look, I'm going to tell you right fucking now.
Please.
This is what happened. Okay, if you look at every royal family in Europe before World War II, like one of the Nazi SSS commanders is his cousin was in the royal family.
Yeah.
So all these rich families figured out that the French Revolution happened and the people are figuring out that they have more people than us. So we've got to do something to keep them from fucking killing all of us. We got to band together and we got to turn these people against each other. All of the leaders of every country, let's start with World War One, because back then you had like Kaisers and fucking like the leaders of countries were monarchs.
Yeah.
And they're all cousins. The Russian Tsar is the cousin to the fucking Spain and Portugal and
that
the
was
UK.
where the Habsburg draw came from. They're all fucking each other.
Exactly.
Or their own kids.
Right.
And
And so you've got the royals.
Thanks.
Thanks, man. What do you got? What's
This is root beer. This is kombucha.
I'll take root beer. Thanks. So so you've got the royals, and then you've got these motherfuckers called the Rockefellers. They're making banks.
Are you talking? Do you mean the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers?
Rothschilds, sorry. Yeah.
The Rockefellers were in America.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Rothschilds. So there's two things going on here. One is a bunch of monarchs saying we need to keep power, and by doing that, we need to turn the people against each other. So, like the German people versus another country's people is better than
Our people,
the German
uprising
people
us.
against the German monarchy, right?
Right.
The other half of this is that you've got these bankers who are funding both sides, selling weapons,
Right.
playing both sides of the coin and making shit tons of money,
Yeah,
right?
it's good business.
This is why World War II happened, is because after World War I, they realized we just made insane profits we never thought were possible through
Right.
this war
The
by
winners.
selling to both sides.
Oh,
And we want more money like that. So the World War I was called the Great War. It's supposed to be the war to end all wars. Guess what fucking happened for like 8 years later or whatever it was, or 10 years later. What is it, 20 years? 20 years later. 1918 and 1939, right?
21, yeah.
Yeah, so they were like, well, let's fucking do this again. None of those people got injured, by the way. None of them fought. They all made fucking bank. None of the monarchs fucking died. None of the bankers' kids died. None of the bankers died. They all became these super uber secret wealthy people. Like, did you know like the
Captains of industry.
the royal family in the UK is the largest landowner in all of the world. They own more land than anyone.
Well, that makes sense. Well, they had the empire. Well, the Royal Empire.
The
like,
royal family
British
owns
Empire.
your house.
For sure, yeah. This is
legally in Canada.
Yeah. Well, we're part of the Commonwealth.
But like in the United States, you own your land.
Yeah,
right?
That's why they fought the revolution.
Yes,
Yeah.
but in Canada, that's not how it works. You're technically leasing the land from the crown.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. If
deed.
somebody
You have a
wants to
deed.
build a pipeline through your land in the United States, they have to buy that land off of you, or they have to go around you. In Canada, you don't have property rights. What happens is the Canadian government offers you an amount for your land, and if you refuse, they take it from you, and you get nothing. That's how the law works.
Wow.
That's what happened with our firearms. And people don't understand this because it's complicated, and it's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, there's no way that's real and shit. But if you look at how the law is written, that's how it works. That is how our law, that's what it's based on, as far as I know. Mike, am I right, or am I kind of right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually, I knew that about the real estate with regards to like it all being. That's why they
You
call it.
don't have property rights.
Yeah,
You can't own it.
that's why they call it crown land. It's not just the crown land; it's like all of it.
But even your land that you own, like the government can do whatever it wants with it. If you don't want, if it wants to build a highway through there, too bad. You got to take what we offer you, or you get nothing. That's where those big protests come from with the indigenous and like the Wet'suwet'en protests.
Yeah.
They actually do own the land.
Right.
They have it written down that from the crown saying this is your land, but we don't have that. So that's why they're like, you can't build a pipe, because they tried to do it to them. But they're like, no, we own this land.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
crazy, man. So,
so okay, tie this all together. So like we have a few things. I'm going to summarize what you said.
Yeah.
you have the monarchs who are afraid of revolutions of their own people against their government, because it's great being a monarch.
The French Revolution and the Russian Revolution were terrifying.
It scared them. Holy shit, can we got that?
Because the first thing they did in the Russian Revolution was go and kill the fucking the Tsar's family, right?
Lenin
Nicholas, what was it? The Romanov.
Tsar Nicholas II.
Yeah.
Well, it's because what's his name? Rasputin was drunk that night, right? He couldn't save him.
Dude, if you could hang with one dude in history, that would suck, but it would be a fucking story to tell to hang with that guy.
Dude, that guy's probably the biggest party jouster.
He had a huge dick, eh? That's like a huge part of the story. He's like, he used to just like whip it out at people and be like, bleh. Yeah. And they loved him. They were like, he's helping our son live.
Wow.
Dude,
I heard
that was like they thought it was funny. He's like, look at this country bumpkin we found. Watch, he'll show his enormous penis shortly.
Well, didn't they have like the kid had a celiac disease and he cured it, right? So he was like,
was it celiac?
It was he had a nick and he'd bleed out. and then or he had to like never get a cut because
Yeah.
the plasmas
Is
wouldn't
that
recover or something like that.
Celiacs, you're allergic to gluten.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, shit.
I know what you're talking
it's
about.
the disease where you can't stop bleeding. Your platelets.
We need our fact guy back. Hey, fact guy.
It's
Yeah.
where the platelets don't work. Anyways, he cured him, and then that's why they trusted him, and then he just ran
Yeah.
through the whole kingdom, right? But
One, he was banging the guy's wife at some point, probably. Like, there's so many rumors. That's the thing about history, and like,
yeah,
they say like history's always told by the victors, right? Like, you never get the full story.
Hemophiliac.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a celiac. What am I talking about? Too much sourdough bread in tonight.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with World War II is fascinating because there's so much fallout and like residue from that war that is like having impacts to this day. We're not less than 100 years out from it, right? So it's like,
I mean, that's how women got the vote.
Totally.
Suffrage
and second wave feminism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
because they're like, hi, we have jobs, we can make bombs. Why the fuck can't I do this normally, right?
Yeah, the wartime effort. Yeah,
all sorts of shit came out of it. But it's
a long topic. That'd have to be like a whole series.
It's and it's been done to death by like, you know what I mean, like by so many different people, and it's
with an interest in not telling the truth though. Like the History Channel, Hollywood, all these people are mainstream, like, you know, retellings of the story, right?
The hard thing about the truth is you have to get evidence, and unless you have a time machine, you can't really do that, because even if you find something no one else found, is like, where did that come from? Right. You know what I mean? Like, even like these freedom of information requests, like JFK or Trump just released some JFK fucking documents. They're all redacted. And it's like, how would we ever know if that's what the documents actually were?
Yeah,
we would never know.
Yeah,
like the CIA is a business, and their whole thing is deception. Like, I'm not really, what you're putting all my money on. Yeah, that's true. Like,
so what you're saying is a bunch of really upset and hungry French people in the 1700s is the reason why the world.
I think this should be the topic. Okay, this should be the topic of our next show. Is I'll go through all the connections of all the leaders in World War II.
That'd be
awesome. And how closely it would be like you and your cousin fighting a war against each other, and like months before that, we all had a big party and like got together and like had a secret meeting. Like, it's what happened. There's pictures of these meetings.
Yeah,
like it's.
And the whole thing you were talking about earlier about information, it reminds me of like, I remember when we were in like junior high, they always used to tell us to read the encyclopedias.
Those bastards, I hated that.
Yeah, but I was just like, yeah, like let's read the encyclopedias. But how many people actually read the encyclopedias now? I remember like
I use Wikipedia all the time. I use
Wikipedia, bro.
That's what it is.
No, the old school encyclopedias are way different from like Wikipedia. Wikipedia is edited by public people, so whoever wants to edit that page,
that's
like
fair.
A book that's written once, like that's the like whatever their interpretation of the facts was at that time, it's written down in a book. This is like it's edited today, you know.
Yeah,
someone's like, oh shit, that's not good. Like, actually, this crazy thing with this.
Are you on Wikipedia?
No.
No one's made a thing.
Well, the Akeem the Dream Brown Sugar Supreme is coming out pretty soon. You know?
And I'm Mike.
But you know, Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed, they make these video games that are like based on like history and stuff. Yeah. They just made one about feudal Japan.
Ooh, and that's a cool topic, man.
Yeah, totally.
Samurais and shit, and like the honor code.
Yeah. Oh, you had a good lunch today. You had lots of fiber in your diet.
I really respect Japanese culture.
Well, dude, I went there, man. I threw it down. I gave them as much money.
Oh, they must have loved you. I heard what they do to black guys there.
Dude, Mitch will tell you this. We were on a train coming home from a bar one night, and this lady was like super drunk, and she's like, "What's going on?"
No, say it like she said it.
How are you? Where are you from? I was like, I'm from Canada. She's like, oh yeah. You're so handsome. And she starts grabbing my muscles, and Mitch was like, oh my god. Like, she's like,
was she hot? You said a lady.
Yeah, not bad. Well, I call girls ladies.
What age are we talking?
Like 20, 28.
Okay.
Yeah.
Young woman.
Young lady.
When I think of a lady, I'm like, you're a mom. You have teenagers. Or you're royalty. Sorry, I'm sidelining you. Okay. So she grabs your shoulders.
She grabs my shoulders and she's like, what's going on? Like, you want to do something? Like, go somewhere or party? And Mitch was like, I think Mitch stepped in, or he was like kind of in my ear about like, you know, this is
I'm
awesome.
tired. Let's go home. I
was like, oh, what the fuck? Yeah, probably. No. But I think our stop was like in 2 stops, so we just got off. But it was a nice young Japanese lady, for sure. Otherwise, like when I saw a lady I liked in Japan, I would go approach them, and it's like not their culture to do that, right? Especially like,
Why aren't they racist? Super racist?
well, no, they're. I guess that's one way to put it. There's another way to put
That's the other way.
it. The other way of saying it is like they're very homogenous. Like
Protect their culture.
they're very.
Oh yeah, so they
they're-
protect. We gotta get him a microphone. They protect their culture.
They're traditional and homogenous.
checker.
Like they like
What do you mean
their
by homogenous? Like
homogeny is one.
I'm thinking, I can't get milk out of my homo milk out of my head.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And she's like,
oh, they're unified.
I got a joke about that. He's like, how do you like your milk? Well, I told her pasteurized.
Am I stupid? I don't
So,
understand it.
Okay, I probably just
With bacteria in it, or no? With less bacteria in it.
no the milk.
I want you to cook it so it doesn't have any living bacteria in it, but dead cell bacteria is okay.
Sorry, I butchered that milk one.
Pasteurized.
But
Okay, anyways, get to
because
this.
pasteurized,
Did
pasteurized.
you hook up with this lady?
Oh.
No, but anyways, no, I didn't. Like we just kept it moving and got some sushi, but like or went home.
That's the end of that? You started that story to end it.
Cool story, bro.
So
Anyways,
I want to tell you about this woman I met on a bus, okay? So I was going to college, and this woman was like, hey, how's it going? I was like, good. And she's like, what's your name? And I was like, my name's Mike. And she's like, okay, have a nice day. And I said, okay, have a nice day. And that was the end of it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice little lay in a brick. Okay, I'm gonna bring this back to Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so
I was like, I'm not
Wikipedia.
Bitch.
These games are interesting because you actually get to meet historical figures. So like in the
Yeah, I know what they are.
Mitsuyoshi Sun's like once you know the way you will see it in all things like this like ancient like samurai culture shit. Instead, it got like infected with this woke bullshit, and they started putting gay black guys in the game from feudal Japan. So it's like, whoa, what the fuck?
Aren't they like samurai too?
Yeah. So like,
Okay.
So what
I
happened?
get it. Historically, I think it's very unlikely that there was a gay
wasn't a
black
thing.
samurai.
But what they did was they retconned the Wikipedia page for that time period to add gay black guys in it. So
How
that's
many black guys were there in feudal Japan?
maybe half, maybe like one mulatto on the coast.
His sailboat, he got blown off course.
Yeah.
He got blown off course. He's like, just so you guys know, I'm not gay. Just, can we write that down for future reference, please?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, feudal Japan was famous for not allowing foreigners in. Like,
Yes,
so
yeah,
like,
yeah.
To make a game where that's even a possibility means you're retconning history, which is why I said Wikipedia is probably mostly bullshit because the developers of that game went into Wikipedia and edited it to make it fit their world.
No, I totally agree, man. Like, our whole world is based on the, like, you don't necessarily need to trick people or lie to people. You just need to make them feel like nothing's real, and then you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
It's like putting the wool over someone's eyes is.
Have you seen any
Same thing
evidence
as
of the
lying.
simulation?
Sorry.
Have you seen any evidence that we're in a simulation?
Oh, I mean, if you do enough LSD, that can kind of feel like that. But statistically, I think, yeah, that's what like Elon Musk says and shit. But to have a computer that can simulate everything, see, I looked into this. So the idea of this is very interesting because like a video game, like you're talking about, doesn't render the entire like whole video game when you're playing it. It only renders what you're interacting with in the game.
Your POV.
Yeah, so you don't actually need a computer that can fucking simulate the entire universe. You just need a computer that can simulate what the main person of the simulation is interacting with.
Right.
So it's like I could be in a simulation, but I know that I'm real.
How do you know you're real?
But like, and it's just simulating it for me. How do I know I'm real? Oh God, fuck these.
These are circular.
You throw me some of these questions, man. It's
There's a guy named-
I decided because I decided I'm
Okay,
real.
perfect. There's
Yeah.
a guy named Rene Descartes in the 1800s. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm real because I think I am. I think, therefore I am. So being a thinking being means that you have autonomy. You're not in a simulation.
Yeah.
So like that's like one evidence for it. He also has like the the missing limb theory, where it's like if you were missing one of your limbs, how would you know you have one, or like did you would it be a phantom thing or something like that, or people?
Because I'd probably be like, there's this part here. I think something's wrong here.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's go back to feudal Japan.
Wait, can we talk about missing limbs? Because I got a fucking good rant about. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to do feudal Japan?
Well, you seem to be interested in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this pisses me off, right? This fucking
Okay.
makes me mad. Okay. We're talking about the ownership, like of you don't own land or anything, right?
Yeah.
What's the thing you can most fundamentally own? Yourself.
Yeah.
Your own body. I own this. There's no dispute amongst this, right? Like, I own me. Everybody I meet instantly knows that, right? If I get my foot cut off by a doctor, I'm not allowed to keep it. It's illegal for me to take it home.
Keep a little flesh bone.
Yeah.
And keep it.
That's my foot. I own that. I can't own anything more than my foot, but I'm not allowed to have it.
Well, then in theory, you only own it if it's part of you. Because as soon as it's not part of you, it's somebody else's.
That's theft. I think it's theft. If you cut off, if I have to get my foot cut off, right? It's my foot. I should be able to do whatever the fuck I want with it.
Well, where'd you leave it?
What? Well, the doctor takes it, and then they get to go play with it. I want to have it.
So where does this happen? In feudal Japan?
Freaking doctors. It's a doctor's office.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Yeah, the feudal Japan. If a samurai cuts your arm off, he gets to take it home and put it on his mantle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Another big one. That reminds me of like when Alex
I want to eat my foot is what I'm getting at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Alex Jones went on Joe Rogan. He was talking about how like these like really psychotic doctors were taking like already born babies in South Carolina like to meat plants, like so like it was like this really sick operation.
to like a butchery, or are they introducing them to vegetation?
No, they were like maybe butchery is not the right word, but like these babies were like said they were ready stillborn or something.
Yeah,
but they really weren't.
Is this adrenochrome? Is that where we're going?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, keep going.
It's on the same.
Keep going.
I think that Alex Jones thing was in regards to.
So they take the fetus and they take. What's a meat plant? Like a.
I'm being hyperbolic for effect.
Okay,
but like
I just don't know what that.
What they're doing is like the operation is stillborn baby.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't. So we're gonna take the baby away from the mother.
Yeah.
And then they'd make that justification that legalese about like, oh yeah, well it's stillborn. We have to like make sure that it has a good death.
Yeah. We're gonna put it in the garbage for you.
Yeah. So what happens is there's like an operation where apparently it goes like a truck gets sent to a lab and it's alive still, the baby, and they use its organs to run tests and do different kind of crazy shit. Like
and they suck the spinal fluid out of it, and then Hillary Clinton starts it in her limousine. Yeah, it's adrenochrome. That's the adrenochrome conspiracy where they like supposedly like adrenochrome is this chemical your body produces, right, naturally.
Okay.
Like
adrenaline.
Yeah, like in like terror. So the conspiracy theory is like in extreme trauma, like extreme terrible scenarios, your body overproduces it, and then they harvest it out of children, and it's like a drug that you like the ultra wealthy elite. They do it, and it makes them feel like gods and shit or something like that.
It's the fountain of youth, actually. I thought.
Like it makes them younger.
Fountain of youth, yeah. Perhaps. That would be...
I mean, stem cells is basically the fountain of youth, right?
Yeah. Stem cells is another interesting one, right? Like, there's a lot of technologies. What do you think of CRISPR? Gene editing.
I think that's going to be the new big tech like leap forward, is being able to adapt. So CRISPR is like gene manipulation.
Yeah.
So. And it's crowdfunded, so like people can go through like a giant database of different like DNA sequences and genomes and stuff, and like find patterns and like look at it, right?
Yeah.
And then like correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because you probably know more about this. And then so CRISPR is basically you're like manipulating the genes, right, going forward, like it's like make designer babies and shit, right?
Yeah, that's the end goal.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
The reason, the impetus for the design of the technology, or the reason why it was able to pass the ethical trials, is because the use case was for people who had like medical issues, or they were born with like single cell anemia or some kind of like thing that was going to cripple them for the rest of their life. So it's very easy to say, oh, let's help this person.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's a lot of good that can be done with that, right?
Yeah.
But then there's like, and let's give him a fucking bitchin' unibrow too,
Yeah.
right? Like let's throw in what else? Let's throw in some freebies.
Well, the one that I heard that was really crazy when I was starting to do research. This was like the 10th episode I ever did on the podcast. CRISPR and I think it was the age of cell death. Anyways, the story that I came across when I was researching it was this boy in Afghanistan. He had this very rare genetic predisposition to not feel pain. So he was missing the thing in his genetic code that would like have pain receptors.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing. It's a very rare thing.
That's what leprosy does to you. Did you know that?
No. So what they were able to do was extract this guy's DNA, this genetic code, because the anomalies that cause that ability are not known to these researchers.
Okay.
So like you have to find it in nature to enable to replicate.
Yeah.
So because it's so rare, they found out about this guy and they like got his body somehow once he died.
They got his body.
Come on, black ops shit, whatever they go to school for. And they got his body. Next thing you know, they're like extracting his DNA so they can replicate it. Because once you have the DNA chain, all you have to do is duplicate it, and you can do it with a software. And then when it's in an actual like database, then they can like find out where that genetic thing is that was missing in his genetic code, snip it, duplicate it, and now they have the formula. So they can make super soldiers that don't feel pain. So if they ever get caught behind enemy lines as a POW, you can never torture them enough. They have no pain receptors, right?
You just got to make them feel really bad about themselves. You're a huge disappointment to your family. No,
your dad.
Well, this is where I think that's going. Is I think that the hyper rich and like that technology is going to be only for very few people, and because the genetic mutations are so vast, right? Like imagine like your son is a star athlete, like a professional athlete genetics, right?
Yeah.
Just like within 2 or 3 or 4 generations, you have 2 separate species of Homo sapiens. You've got Homo sapien, and then you've got like future sapien or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so these people are smarter, stronger, faster, and wealthier. And yes, exactly. Uberman. It's Hitler shit. Hitler would have been all over CRISPR. He would have been fucking.
Well, they were trying to do that. What's his name? Joseph Mengele or Mengele?
Joseph Mengele was kind of just like, I want to do experiments. Like, is that a meteor?
Crazy stuff like putting like.
Do you think if we taught you some mind twins, the other one will feel it? Like, use that. He was just fucking crazy, right? But yeah, they were trying to breed. That's like what Hitler Youth was. It was like, let's get the big fucking like husky ladies, the blonde ones, and breed them with the big breed them with the big kids, because they had arranged teenage marriages in Nazi Germany, where they if you fit the bill, if you were like one of the Ubermensch, they'd give you a wife and they'd set you up for life with like finances and like all this fucking shit, because they wanted, and your job was purely her job, I should say, because it's fucking awful, was just to pump kids out.
Well, they were kind of doing a form of genetics, like back to the royal families. Like if the Queen of Norway and if the royal families, the king and the monarchs of 2 countries had daughters and sons that like had really good potential, to be like, hey, you guys it's just arranged, right? Like you're just gonna have.
Well, there's a lot with that one, because there's a lot of the royal family think that they're ordained by God, like they are in where they are because God anointed them. There's that. Plus, there is also the we're not going to go to war if our fucking kids are married, right? Like it's an ally thing, right? Yeah. So all like that goes back to that conspiracy theory. That'll be the next episode of all those people are all related, right? And so they're all the richest people in the world, and they're all in one little group where they all are related to each other. And the only threat to their power is the numbers of the rest of us. That's the only threat that is truly threatening, because for the most part, they can buy armies, they can do whatever they want, right? So we're going to get fucked as humans because right now the rich people need us to do the work. They need us for labor. They need us to do the things they don't want to do so that they can have the fucking cool shit that they want. But the second that you start making robots or automatons or whatever it is that can mimic human labor, now we're nothing but a threat to them.
What's more interesting to me is not just robots here, humans here, but what do you think about the singularity where humans and computers collide? Like we're already doing with Neuralink, but like
So are you talking about AI, or are you talking about human beings like joining and becoming cyborgs?
not full cyborg, like partial cyborg, like where you have like your brain is not your brain, it's your personality plus the internet in your head, and then you have like maybe some.
That's
like,
a cyborg.
That's a cyborg.
Yeah, any type of technology, like an amputee is technically a cyborg.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that becoming mainstream, like what are your thoughts on that? Because that seems where it's going. Like our phone in our hand, that's a form of cyborgism. Like it's just on our hand all day, right? It's 12 hours a day. How many waking hours does the average person have their phone in their hand? Like, isn't that like
that's exactly what I think about it. It's gonna have benefits, but it's also gonna have huge fucking terrible implications. Just like the internet. Like the internet brought us a lot of cool shit, but it also fucked up a lot of shit, right?
Based on your life being alive since 1991, what do you think was the best year we ever had as a society?
Ooh, that's a good question. Like me personally, or as a society?
In your lifetime, since 1991, what was the best year for humanity? If we could just have that year over.
Oh, for humanity, or for me? Sorry.
For you.
For me, 2010. What 1 year out of high school?
Okay.
So you're still tight with all your high school buddies. Yeah. Everybody's got a job, so you've all got money. Everybody's got wheels, so you can do ski trips and stuff. But you're still living with your folks, and like no, there's not too much expectation for you to like figure your life out. Those are the good old days, man.
We did a ski trip.
Yeah. I sleepwalked and I peed in his suitcase when I was sleepwalking. That was terrible. I felt so bad. Yeah, no, I think that was the best for me. I think as far as society goes, I would say just before, probably around JFK or like before Reagan for sure. I think Reagan's trickle down economics fucked everything up. Right. That fucking if you look at the graphs of wages and productivity versus the rich, and like how the stock market goes up and versus middle class wealth, as soon as Reaganomics hits, there's a giant divide where all the middle class wealth levels out, and all of the stock market and the elites, their wealth just skyrockets straight up into like a logarithmic line.
It's globalism on steroids, right? Like open trade markets, all that shit, right? Like it's
they just decided that they don't like we're cattle, right? We're chattel, right? Like we're here to provide them with what they want, right? Like they don't see us as regular people. Like the high up elites firmly believe that we can't govern ourselves and we don't know what we want, right? Okay, so and they're better, and they can rule. Like I'll give you an example that kind of points a similar portrait. I have some family that won the lottery. Nice. And they won like 6 mil or whatever. Or maybe not. But wait, but check this out. So they're Christians, right? Yeah. But they're not very good Christians. Like they're very judgmental. Yeah. They're very like, so when they won the lottery, they immediately assumed that God rewarded them and everything they're doing is how other people need to live life. So they became worse people because they're like, because we are doing things right, God rewarded us. You need to do what we're doing. So and then I'm better than everyone else, and I know that because God rewarded me, right? That's how the elite think. It's like the reason we have all this is because we're better. Yeah. Right? But it's not. It's like no. It's like your fucking ancestor got lucky way back in the day, and
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a what's it called, entitlement at the fucking highest level, right? Like, it's crazy. So I think I like 2003 personally.
Why would you say that?
It was pre-social media.
You just loved the 9. You just were a big fan of 9/11.
2003.
I know, it's like 2 years, things are settled down. We can really start getting into the discussion.
Well, honestly, after 9/11, I felt like we were pretty unified. Yeah. 9/11 was a.
How old were you in 2003? So you would have been like what, like fucking 12? Yeah.
So, yeah, no, 12. Yeah. Anyways, the point is, I like that time frame because it felt like it was still 90s with a little bit more like cooler video games.
Yeah. Tech, it was like, ooh, we're living in the future,
But the
right?
tech didn't like pull us apart. It
Yeah.
brought us together.
Yeah.
And then we still had like we were still skateboarding and like going to the movies and going to Rogers Video. That was one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Going to Rogers Video.
Hell yeah.
Checking the videos. Running. I remember this one chick is like, I remember it's burned in my head. Like this blonde chick. She's probably in her mid 40s, like middle aged.
Nice.
Like maybe her boyfriend dumped her or something. She's going movie nights.
So you have a whole imaginary backstory. Love it. Keep going.
Anyways, she was like booking it, and this is maybe just like emblematic of people at the time. But like when they opened the stores or when the books, the movies came on the shelf, everyone was just booking for it because there was always one person who would take the movie off the. You know how they had like 3 or 4 movies for.
Yeah.
There was a full wall of them.
Yeah.
They would take one of those and put it behind like a shitty movie nobody ever liked.
Yeah.
Because like you couldn't take it yet, but like the guy who worked there wanted it for himself.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just like that rush and the fact of like walking around the movie store, and that was more fun than actually watching the movie.
Totally.
And getting your popcorn and chips and shit like that, and then going to your buddy's house and watching like our buddy Kyle play guitar for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And then when you leave the house at 2:00 in the morning and free run, and someone would hurt his back. We talked about that on the last podcast.
Oh yeah, falling off the church or was it?
Aaron Wood almost becoming a
Oh,
paraplegic.
I thought he broke his spine. I was like, we're in so much. Like, I felt bad for him, but I was like, holy shit, like. But dude, we used to rent GoldenEye, and it was like, and you have the sleepover with like 3 of your buddies. Yeah, and it was all night long. Me and Brendan used to do that. That was a good fucking time. And Belvo, yeah.
Oh no way! That's one of my dogs. He's gonna listen to this.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Hey Brendan, if you're out there, buddy, give me a text. I miss you. Stop logging my calls.
Yeah, he had that whistle. But anyways, 2003 also no Facebook, no social media, nobody had cell phones. You go to a concert, it was just like you enjoy the concert. It felt like the last moment of like purity.
Yeah, well, and it's also because like that is when we kind of had our innocence still too, right? Like, so it's like it's our innocence kind of matched up with society's innocence. I think maybe that's just how the way it's perceived because it's our time. But yeah, it just.
You ever think what it would be like to be a kid now?
I do a little bit because I spend a lot of time with people. Like I've dated teachers and people in childcare.
Yeah,
and like. People who have been in it for a long time, they notice like a huge change in how kids act and how they entertain themselves and how they interact with social like you've got little girls out instead of like on recess, instead of playing princess and shit, they've all got cell phones and they're playing, but they're like, I'm gonna be an influencer, like. And what's a woman influencer usually? Like floozy, I guess, right? Like,
yeah. Well, it's OnlyFans.
It's kind of where it kind of leads, or you're faking a personality. Like, there's lots of these van dweller people that are like, oh, our life's so free and shit. It's like, listen, motherfuckers, I know people that live in vans. It's not that great. Like, you don't shower very often. Like, you have stinky dishes in your passenger seat. Like, it's.
Isn't that? Did you see a documentary about that couple that was doing van life and that he killed her? Water.
It's on Netflix. I started it. Yeah, that's what. Well, and the cops pulled him over. Like somebody fucking called the cops because this guy was beating his girlfriend on the fucking side of the road. Like,
it's fucked up.
Well, and that's the thing is like if you value who you are based on how other people perceive you, or like if you wanna make a career off of that, like. That's gotta fuck your psyche up, dude. Like, that's not how you have a healthy mindset about who you are, right? Yeah. And it goes back to the same thing of, like, these influencer kids and, like, iPad kids and shit. And they're watching these YouTube videos or YouTubers that are all assholes. Like, the Paul brothers or, like, that Mr. Beast guy. Like, those guys are all pedophiles. Like, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out for sure. They're gonna find out that, like, oh yeah, I went into his room and he gave me a purple drink and it made me sleepy, and like it's just fucked. Like our role models are so ass backwards now.
Yeah.
But it's all tied to how much money these people make, because all those people make money by pissing people off or shocking people or showing titties, right? Like they don't give anything good to society. Like nobody gives a shit if you fucking solve a problem in society that helps people. You know what I mean? Or yeah, like you know what I mean? Or like invent something that's incredibly useful that can help, like a medical device or something. Nobody gives a fuck about that. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, like when we were talking about Oppenheimer and Einstein, and those guys were fucking celebrities, man. They were partying with like fucking gangsters and shit. Like people knew who they were, right? Like Einstein was hella famous, right? Like Stephen Hawking couldn't move his entire body, and he had a mistress, dude. He had a mistress. Like,
he was on Epstein's Island.
oh, yeah, I believe
He
it.
was on the Epstein list. Stephen Hawking.
I believe it. Yeah, I've heard
I'm
that.
sure he was.
Well, the thing about the Epstein list is you get a bunch of people out there. You only need a couple of them to molest some kids, and then you've got everybody, right? You don't like I'm not saying Hawking. I think it'd be hard for Stephen Hawking to molest a kid, right?
Yeah, that's
like,
good.
You know, yeah.
more.
Trust me. Trust.
Oh, please don't stop.
Help. I need you to take my pants off. Sorry. Okay, that's enough of that. Anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, so you just have to be associated with it and to have power over those people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, I've been on his plane 8 times, even though I didn't fucking like touch anybody. Like, people are gonna think I did that if this gets out. So I need to make sure that like I'm not fucking guilty by association. And it's all these people are super mad rich. Just before you think about like power and conspiracies and stuff, think about how much money all those people have for lawyers.
That's true, yeah.
Right? Like they have the best litigation team in the fucking planet. Cause the second 5 of them team up, as soon as 5 people with $100 million each, you have the best lawyers that exist. We're talking lawyers that can just dame the entire system. They know of the judges, like they know everything, right? And they can railroad shit, they can drag shit out, they can make it so that it's more expensive for the government to litigate. It's so expensive that it's just not worth pursuing.
What the Einstein case, Einstein, whatever. What that thing needs is one person just to have.
Wait, Einstein or Epstein? Okay.
Epstein, that whole case.
Albert Epstein.
Oh yeah, he's doing mad physics. The one thing that we need, that one person to come out as a sole whistleblower to compromise themselves and have moral clarity and be like, hey, I fucked up. I went there. I slept with kids or whatever it was. All these people did too. I'm going to jail for the rest of my life. They're going to kill me, but this is worth. Someone needs to be an Edward Snowden for that.
You need video evidence. You need that. Word of mouth. It's like the alien stuff, man. Yeah. Like you only get, so it doesn't matter what your fucking your credentials are. Like, no one's gonna truly believe you until you fucking go, this is a fucking non-digital film of a molestation by or an alien, or Stephen Hawking sat on this child's face by accident.
Yeah. So maybe one of the lawyers just leaks all the films, low-key.
Well, guess who has all that shit? The Mossad. It's the whole thing was a fucking Israeli honeypot, man. Like, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad was like the fucking one of the top 3 fucking Israeli politicians or like Mossad agents or some shit. Like,
Kings of Black.
I don't need to have my facts straight for that. You can Google that. It's all real. His name's Epstein. Come on.
Yeah, I was talking to Mike about that today, about how like he was Tim Dillon was on Lex Friedman. Tim Dillon's just hilarious, like gay.
I don't know who that is.
Anyways, he was just talking to Lex Friedman, who's this like interviewer. People think he's a CIA agent.
Lex Friedman? Or I thought he was a Russian agent. Isn't that what it is?
Some people think he's he's an agent of some kind. Anyways,
every time he jujitsu's a guy, he's whispering confidential information.
He's in his 40s. He's successful, and he doesn't even go on dates. He's not married. Doesn't have any kids. It's a bit strange for me. Bit of a red flag. But this guy, he's like Tim Dillon was like, yo. That whole Epstein thing was a Mossad operation. And he's like, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable with that. And he's like, Epstein was just like a really charismatic, powerful guy.
Dude, he became a billionaire out of nowhere. What was he doing before he got famous?
He was a math teacher.
Epstein?
A high school math teacher.
That's not good. A molesty guy?
Yeah. But then Lex Wessner, who was the head of the Victoria's Secret, or what was it called?
Oh yeah, that dude.
He is
Well, he gave Epstein like $100 million New York fucking penthouse apartment. He gave it to him. I got my fucking Alex Jones voice right there. He gave it. Dude, Alex Jones. I just love hearing the shit coming out. Like I want. Like, listen, I'm not saying I'm pro Alex Jones. Like, there's a lot of controversy around it. I'm not getting into that. I will say this: I want to fucking party with that guy. Dude, I want to go sit down and just be like, here, have some drugs. Let me hear what you think.
Objectively, regardless of what you think of him, he's probably one of the most entertaining, fun people on the face of the planet.
Yeah. Like, you know he'll smash a beer can all over his head and chug it with you. You know he'll do that in a second.
1776, we're build trench.
That's good.
You have to build a group.
I'm in a tunneling. We started going to get it again.
Listen, 1776, protocol worldwide. We're going to keep it going. 1776, get your guns. Guns, law, and a family.
Yeah.
Protect everybody out there. Stop making the frogs gay.
I love the frogs gay thing. Because if you look the science up on the frogs gay thing, you're like, this is actually correct.
The water.
Well, it makes them hermaphrodites, right?
Yeah,
like,
asexual,
yeah. Well, the swamp, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the water system, the water supply, the whole thing with the food supply system. People are starting to realize, like, if you go to Italy for 2 weeks and eat the food there, you actually lose weight if you eat the exact same diet as here. Like, there are soil. What country in the world you think has the best agriculture conditions?
Ukraine, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they have the best. They're the most fertile soil, and I think the United States is.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Ukraine has 8 feet of topsoil in a lot of places.
Oh wow, 8 feet of topsoil. We're hearing from the peanut gallery. What should we call him? Our fact checker?
Jamie 2.0.
No, don't copy Rogan. Let's find our own shit. Let's call him Jamal.
Yeah. What's out there in the real world? But okay, so topsoil in Ukraine is really good.
But like, where are you getting these facts though? From your cell phone? Nothing's real, man. We don't know who wrote that. Who wrote that article, man?
Okay, so what's the worst place to grow anything on the planet? Probably Antarctica. Obviously, but besides that, like maybe.
Places people live and grow food.
Ontario.
Like,
pretty bad.
Well, just because of the people, though. That's just because you got to deal with them.
The Canadian Shield. It's all rock bed, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Well, no, they've got lakes and shit. It's the Canadian Shield's under soil. I don't know, man. That's one of those questions that has a million different.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a little hard to like. Okay, you want to switch things up a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Have you ever heard about? Remember that guy in Las Vegas that was fucking shooting out of fucking windows at a country concert? Mm-hmm. They call it the Mandalay Bay shooting.
The Jason Aldean concert.
I don't know who it was, but have you ever looked into that?
Not beyond just the headlines.
Dude, there is an immense amount of evidence that was all fucking lies. There are videos of helicopters with flashing lights that match the fucking automatic gunfire shooting. And then there's flight plans of these helicopters that just mysteriously the responder just turns on and then they go and land at an airport. And they weren't there. It just appears out of nowhere. Yeah. And so this guy, the story, like, and help me out with this, right? So the story is this guy is a gambling addict, and he goes and he just decides to buy like fucking or take like 40 different rifles to Stephen Paddock, yeah, to a hotel, right? Shoot out the window, and then fire into a crowd of people with like 7 or 8 different rifles different calibers. So none of his mags were loaded like he was there to do a mass shooting. Like he was shooting and then stopping, pulling the mag out, loading rounds into the mag, then putting it back in and shooting is the story. And then they say, so they took a SWAT team in there and they go in and they break the door down and he's killed himself. Before they even got there, he's killed himself. He's still got lots of guns. He's still got lots of ammo left. Just decided to blow his brains out at some point. And he's also using strange devices, like this little device where you turn it. It's like a little crank, and it fires your trigger for you, like a rotary trigger, right? Yeah, and that's why the gun sounded weird. And there's all these people that are on the ground saying, I see guys, I just saw guys with fucking rifles over there shooting, right? And there's videos on TikTok, all over Twitter. There's lots of these videos. People are like, I found a fucking gun on the ground. Or like, look at all these casings on the ground. To the cops, like, there's casings right here. Like, everyone's like, there's multiple shooters. There's multiple shooters, right?
Who's that poker player that was there? That
Dan.
was there. He was on the ground, wasn't he? He was there, and he was like,
He tried to get a cop to give him his gun so he could shoot somebody. Like, this is why I'm talking. Like, you can't follow YouTubers and shit, man. They're idiots. It's so dumb. Hey, give me your gun. Like, okay, yeah, you're good. Oh, you're dead. Like, oh, like.
Well, didn't he do like Navy SEALs or some shit? Like he was like, so he has like combat training.
From what I know about that. Okay, I've got combat training, but
he's carrying the.
Wait, so do you remember the name of that? There's a website that it's a map of this whole fucking thing, right? Yeah. And it shows with pictures and everything. It shows where there's a gun here. There's all the phone calls are from. You can click on each thing and see where it is. It's like they found fucking shells blocks away, like that. It's like, and so if you're flying around in a black helicopter firing at people, like shells are gonna hit the ground, right? They're gonna be falling.
Fucked up. So maybe it was from the helicopter.
So the Saudi prince was at that hotel, and he was undercover, and like he was pretending to be a civilian. And a month before that, his brother had just tried to assassinate him. And so what he did is I don't know if I can get these details right, but it's something like this. So his brother had tried to assassinate him. So he said, fuck this. I'm leaving out of the country. He hired a hit squad to kill his brother in Saudi. And he went to Vegas, and he's pretending to be a civilian so he can go and gamble and have fun and shit, right? Yeah. So during the shooting, there's a video of like SWAT agents rushing out like some random dude out of the fucking thing before they go up, like protecting this guy. And it's the Saudi crown prince.
Whoa.
Yes. And so they think it was like some sort of CIA hit gone bad, or some kind of like, there's just a lot of like weird mystery behind it. Because this. What about him? You want to pop in here? Swap me out for a sec.
Yeah, from my understanding, Stephen Paddock's brother was very outspoken about it. The following day or a couple days later.
I almost took a shit with that microphone on.
Dude, if I was listening to this back and I just hear, oh, and then I hear the Japanese guy in the toilet going, oh yeah.
That's important. Yeah, Stephen Paddock's brother was very outspoken, basically saying there's no way in hell my brother would do that. That's so out of character for him. This is nothing like his personality. And, you know, they hit him with the same thing they hit Trump with. They hit him with the same thing they hit all these guys with that are outspoken. They hit him with rape charge or
oh really?
Yeah, child porn charges.
Oh shit!
He's locked up for the next 30 years.
Damn.
Yeah, that's another big red flag. What, his family's outspoken about him and then lock him up, right? But aside from that, I mean, I don't know much.
I mean, wasn't that the case that made bump stocks like illegal?
Yeah, and that was another big.
So that
big issue.
Maybe it was maybe it was like an operation to justify the elimination of bump stocks because of like, look what the damage can do.
Sure, or the politics that just goes along with it. That you know, they're throwing them a bone and saying, "See, look, we're taking care of you know, gun violence." When
right.
Really, like, bump stock incidents are 0.001% of all shootings, right?
So you have a few things going on here. You got the Saudi prince doing an op on his brother. Maybe his brother followed him to Vegas. And then you have an operation where the CIA is involved, and they have helicopters going over. There's dead spots where the helicopters are flying. It looks like there's some aerial, some empty shells away from where the hotel would be.
I haven't dug into it too much, but I do know it was the largest mass shooting